Hello, everyone. Oh my god, sorry we're a little bit late on the transition to the chatting scene. I had to finish my breakfast because I completely forgot about Yu-Gi-Oh! Tuesday and was putting off breakfast doing other things. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the game theory. We're going to have a game theory for you. And this one, I think, is a little bit of a game theory. We're going to be doing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0 React. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Tuesday. Good Yu-Gi-Oh! Tuesday, everyone. Happy Yu-Gi-Oh! Morning. Happy Yu-Gi-Oh! Tuesday. What's your favorite synchro monster? What's your favorite hashtag synchro monster? Today's the first episode with Bakura in it, so that's cool. I'm excited for that. I've been playing a lot of Octopath Traveler, though. Been really into that. Really good game. Excellent JRPG. Magical Android, true. Well, you know, I don't wake up very early. I usually wake up like I woke up a while ago, but like I said, I was putting it off. I usually have my breakfast around noon because that's when I wake up. How many characters you cycled through so far? Oh, you know, enough. Like, as far as, like, mainstream Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters, it's really just the main gang, Kaiba, and now we're getting Bakura. I guess Miho's also here for some reason. But Miho's awesome, so who gives a shit? Alright, let's go watch. Let's go watch. Oh, I forgot to rewind it when I got the thumbnail. Alright. Also, I wasn't able to find a better quality version of the thing with subtitles, so sorry if the subtitles are still awful. They probably are. I forgot about it entirely, so I'm gonna miss Miho when she's gone, when she gets absorbed into nothingness. That was a nice bagel I had, an Asiago cheese bagel. Delightful. The Great Melee, a popularity contest? What? Huh? You could have him if you want. She's trying to mog on her. What the fuck?
我が美化委員会への予算アップを申請したくですから我が美化委員会への予算アップをこの会議でぜひ検討していただきたいと思っているわけですって聞いてるんですか副会長何すんだよ神聖な会議中になんでこんなくだらんもの見てるんですか
Sacred meeting?
くだらんとは恐れ多くも薫子さんの写真だぞ知ってますよ副会長の立場を利用して姫小路薫子ファンクラブなるものを設立して部活動と称し予算を割いてること何が悪い薫子さんは我が校の財産だあんなけっばい女のどこが財産なんですか
Flamboyant.
薫子さんを侮辱したな謝罪しろ薫子さんに謝れ
Damn, dude. He's like, that's not miho, so I don't give a shit.
ナンバーワンなら別にいます。もっと清楚で可憐な。誰だ言ってみろ。
Literally, that's what is going on.
誰だと言ってるんだ。聞きたいですか。その名は我がクラスが誇る野坂美穂。の？誰かと思えばあんなガキ。薫子さんの足元にも及ばん。何？美穂ちゃんを侮辱するな。
Misogynist? True. You're all children. What? You're all children. What are you talking about?
もし俺が負けたら議会委員の予算は考えてやる。のって。おお、このいきなりな企画は生徒会も暇だな。
Jonuchi's got it right.
商品はミュージカル美女と怪獣のチケットだって。
何？美女と怪獣といや、今一番プレミアついてるチケット。こいつを売る金になる。
Oh, okay. He just wants to sell the tickets.
おい、出る。おい、出る。俺出るぜ。
何かの間違いでは？
何？
これは人気を競うコンテストですよ。腕力じゃない。
俺が人気を争って悪いかよ。ならここを腕力大会の会場にしてやろうが。
わかりました。
人気コンテスト？
はい。うちで一番人気のある生徒を決定するっていう企画です。
なんでわざわざそんなことしなきゃなんないのかしら。
そりゃもう最初から薫子さんに決まっているのは当然なんですが、1年の中にはそれが理解できないやつもいるわけで、ここは一つ薫子さんの超魅力を見せつけて人気のほどを教えてやってくださいよ。
そうね。1、2年の坊やたちに大人の魅力を教えてあげてもいいかもね。
ありがとうございます。薫子さんファンクラブ一同命をかけてバックアップしますです。はい。
She's got the slideshow Bob going on there. Great Cat, welcome Raiders. Hope you had a good stream. We're just watching a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0 here on Yu-Gi-Oh! Tuesday. How you doing, Gray? Hope you had a good time. Hope you had a good day. Hope you're having a good afternoon. Wow.
No pronouns.
Thank you for the follow, Deltav. Grade. Real. Thank you for the follow, Tismaeus.
じゃあすんだ。ゲー。
文句あんのか？
あんずもしかしてあんずも。
Look at how Yugi stanced up here.
何やってんの？ジョロウチ君が人気コンテスト。
I gotta get that turnaround shot again. Look at how stanced up he is.
文句あんのか？
あんずもしかしてあんずも。商品は本場ブロードウェイから来たミュージカルのチケット。
It's a Broadway musical, so it's not the Disney movie Beauty and the Beast.
頑張ってね。
ユウギ、お前は俺の応援をしろ。
No, Yugi, you'll cheer for me.
人気コンテストのことなんだけど。
本田君出場するの？
いや、まさか。いや、優勝者を壇上にエスコートする名誉ある役のことで。
エスコート？
うん。みほちゃん。よかったら俺を指名してくれないかな。みほちゃんのエスコート役に。
なんでみほ優勝しないよ。
謙遜家だな。みほちゃんなら絶対本当に優勝するに決まってるじゃないか。
For sure, absolutely.
出場しないもん。
どうして？
だってめんどくさいもん。じゃあね、
Bye bye.
みほちゃん。
Miho's like, I don't want to be any more popular than I already am, thank you. Fuck that shit.
本田君、どうしたの？
聞いてくれ。
しょうがないか。本田君のあんな姿見てられないもんね。みほちゃん。あ、いた。みほちゃん。あれ、ゆうぎくんどうしたの？やっと見つけた。さ、コンテストのことなんだけど。ゆうぎくんも出るの？違うよ。みほちゃんどうして出場しないの？商品有名なミュージカルのチケットだよ。
Yeah, the subtitles are still awful.
そうなんだ。
I don't like musicals.
何か飲みに行かない？喉乾いちゃった。これって
君に何かした？
Miho hates Hamilton. She's gonna destroy Lin Miranda.
何もなかったならよかった。
記憶がなくなるって。
What a disturbing. What? Hold up. Okay, let's just, I want to run this whole thing back. Did I do something to you?
そう。ごめんなさい。僕時々記憶がなくなることが。
Incredible way to introduce yourself to someone. Sorry, I lose my memory a lot. I'm glad I didn't do anything to you. And then this. The double take.
私ドミノ高校の野坂美穂って言うんですけど、今度の土曜日学校で人気コンテストがあるんです。私絶対優勝するからエスコートに。
Oh my. Oh my god, Miho. Miho is awesome, dude.
美穂頑張っちゃう。美穂ちゃんってば。はい
What the fuck is wrong? What is going on in her head? She's so crazy. Holy shit, dude. Miho's the best fucking character. What the fuck? They should have kept her. We gotta rewrite DM to put Miho in it. What the fuck?
コンテストで命を落とそうとも悔いなし。我々姫小路薫子親衛隊は命をかけて薫子さん優勝を勝ち取る。
アンズファイター。ユーリ君頑張って。私たち女子も応援するよ。ありがとう。
あらよ。
何あの人、どうしたのかしら。
みんなよく聞いてくれ。このコンテストは女ばっかりじゃねえぜ。一票で俺に優勝賞品を握らせてくれ。
No. I kind of do.
うわ緊張。けど美穂、よく出場する気になったよね。なんでなんで？ちょっとね。
When you say the girls in the games, can you include Yugi in there too? And Joey.
よーし、絶対優勝するぞ。
Can we get some fan art of Janucci in a bikini chat?
身の程知らずもいいところですね。
そんなバカなこと言うもんじゃないわ。参加することに意義があるのよ。
ちょっと結果はやってみなきゃわかんないよ。お手柔らかに。私たちの取り柄って若さしかないからお肌の張りが勝負って感じ。
Jesus Christ.
失礼ね。薫子様だって。
いいわ。結果が出ればわかることよ。お肌の張りですって。たかが
Miho got her right where it hurts.
ここのところちょっとくすんできてるのよね。でも
Miho's evil. Oh my god. Every Miho episode is a fucking blessing. It's just in the background going.
それではただいまより第1回人気コンテストの出場者をご紹介いたします。エントリーナンバー1姫小路薫子。
How did the school approve this?
エントリーナンバー5城之内克也。イエーイイエーイイエーイ。
He's into it, dude. He's so into it.
続きましてエントリーナンバー6正木杏津。
My boy.
ユギ。
最後にエントリーナンバー9野坂美穂。
Nothing.
美穂ちゃん頑張って美穂ちゃん美穂ちゃん。
それでは早速フリースタイルの準備にかかってもらいましょう。
Freestyle? Are they gonna rap?
女性との反
I wanna hear Miho rap.
1年男子と2年男子の半分が野坂美穂を支持しています。なんですって？そんなに？しかし我がファンクラブが3年男子をすべて掌握。1、2年男子にも薫子様とのデートを餌に抱き込みが進んでいます。 そう、わかったわ。
頑張ろうね
マジ。それにしても名
It's not Slim Miho.
この学校のナンバーワンは
Can the real Sugar Baby please stand up?
ちょっとね、実はね。
Oh, I love Final Fantasy.
それではエントリーナンバー1姫小路薫子によりますオイランド中
What?
カオルコさん最高や大統領バカ大統領じゃないオイランだよオイラン分かってねえんだからもうカオルコさんちなんでデレデレしやがって腰巾着野郎が
続きましてエントリーナンバー5城之内克也
Yeah, Janucci!
楽しみ
My name is Paparin Monroe
Yo! No! Fuck you! Kill him! Kill him! Every single one of these kids die.
見ろあのザメかっこいいぞ城之内やろうやったな
Get him! Get him!
ステージを放棄した場合は失格です
何
それでは気を取り直しましてエントリーナンバー6マサキアンズ
Why did that guy just have a pie on him? He was prepared. Oh shit. Oh, she's in the dance outfit.
おいおいお国自慢大会じゃないぞ
どうしちゃったんだハンズ
やってやって民謡のヒップホップダンス早くしろ早く
演技が続かないと失格になりますが
ダメだ
残念ながらマサキアンズさんは
この私と競うなんて100万年早いのよ。
Killer. Keeps that thing on him, if you will. I won't.
美穂ちゃん最高だ
Miho goes to the circus.
野坂美穂。いい
What, you didn't have a way to stop her music?
それでは
Anzu's music got fucking fucked over. But Miho's didn't? Anzu exists. Yugi foaming at the mouth.
用
Anzu!
意してきたのによ
そんなの誰も見たくないかも
No, you're wrong, Yugi. I wanted to see it.
たまに来ちゃう誰がテープすり替えたのかしら美穂こうなったらあんた何が何でも優勝してよね任せてとっておきの水着持ってきたんだから本当見て驚くなじゃじゃーんはあ何よこれ美穂どうするの
Again, well, how did the school approve this? This track fucking rocks, though. Dude! Is she anorexic, dog? Okay. Boing! Boing!
では続きましてエントリーナンバー9野坂美穂野坂美穂さんどうぞ美穂さんどうしました
Where are her organs? Like,
カオ
literally.
ルコさんの美しさにビビって逃げてねバカ言うな
ナンバーワンはこの私に決まってるのに。
美穂ちゃん美穂ちゃん早く出てきて美穂ちゃん
What the fuck? How'd she get up those stairs in that?
すごいパフォーマンス我らがアイドル野坂美穂
綺麗だあの衣装演劇部から借りたのよ
We took the costume from a play.
素敵
This episode is fucking incredible, dude.
手紙が来ないようだ
awesome.
優勝まであと一歩。来てくれるかな、あの人。
野坂さん、旧校舎の裏であなたに会いたいって人が来てるけど。
やっぱり来てくれたのね。早くこの姿を見てほしいんだ。あれ？確かここだって。
私以外の人間が注目されるのは許されないの。思い知るがいいわ。
よし、これで美穂ちゃんの優勝は
Hello?
決まった。最後まで盛り上げ
Me
る
when I'm fucking blind. Yeah, literally, where was she in
薫
there?
子さんの優勝は我々が見届けるぞ。
そいつはどうかな。
ユギ、ミホがいなくなっちゃったのよ。どこにも。
それでは皆さん、ここまで勝ち抜いた姫小路薫子、そして野坂美穂2人によります最終審査、フォーマルスタイルの部に移りたいと思います。
どこ行っちゃったんだ、ミホちゃん。遅刻になっちゃうよ。ミホ
では開始します。最初にエントリーナンバー1、姫小路薫子。
I can't wait to see how this turns into a Yamino game.
ミホちゃん
It went from a funny anime to one of those abusive Yuri visual novels.
ミホちゃん、しっかりして。誰がこんなこと。
It was that creepy prophet again.
花びら。バラの花びら。行かなきゃ。行かなきゃ。優勝するんだから。ミホちゃん。
It's so fast I can't quite do it.
このままでは危険とみなします。
これで薫子さんの優勝は決まりだな。
そんなことはない。
Yami Yugi in a dress, let's go.
来るぞ。
落とし物だ。
誰なのあなた。
卑怯な手でライバルを蹴落としてクイーンになるのはいただけないな。
何を言ってるの？誰に向かって物を言ってるの？
かわいそうな人だ。どこまでもとぼけるならそれでもいい。ただし俺に勝てたら
何ですって？
ゲームの時間だ。
何をさせようってわけ？
ごく簡単なゲームさ。あんたの持ってる花を
That's
順番に抜い
disappointing.
て
He's not in
最
drag.
後の一
He should have
本
worn
を
the
抜いたもの
Miho's dress.
抜く数は1本から3本まで自由。
確かに簡単ね。じゃあお先にどうぞ。バカね、私の勝ちだわ。残り5本。こうなったら絶対先に抜く方が負けるのよ。何本抜こうとね。
なるほど。
あなたが1本抜けば私は3本、残りは1本。同じように2本抜けば2本、3本抜けば私が1本で残りが1本。どうあがこうと最後の1本を抜くのはあなたよ。
確かに。じゃあやってみる。
I like the shot they're showing the flower on her hair.
あなたの負けね。どうぞ。
俺はあんたが持ってる花と言ったんだぜ。ブーケだけとは言ってない。
Look, we didn't have a whole lot of time to do this game, so it had to be something really simple and
闇
fast.
の扉が開かれた。
She didn't even cheat this time. She was just kind of an asshole beforehand.
永遠じゃん。それを
She then lost the game. Oh,
では野坂美穂棄権により優勝は
they're too busy writing peak Miho to focus on Yamino game.
おめでとうございます。
美穂ちゃん、どこ行っちゃったんだよ。
Women must be punished severely. That's true, actually, yeah.
姫小路。なんだこりゃ。
薫子さん。
なんで幻滅。
What?
だったんだろうその時。やっぱりコンテストの途中の記憶がなくなっちゃってる。
僕時々記憶がなくなることがあって、何もなかったならよかった。
あれは一体何だったんだろう。街で会ったあの人は一体誰なんだろう。
Now it's got him thinking.
何かが動き始めてるような気がする。
あれが兄様が手を焼いている遊戯か。
Hi, Mokuba. I didn't expect Mokuba to show up in here too. What the fuck?
こいつが兄様のゲーム指定脳たちを打ち負かしたやつか。だが今度はそうはいかないぜ。次の相手は兄様に勝負の駆け引きを教え込んだ男、最後のゲームマスターなんだからな。そして遊戯打倒の後、海馬コーポレーションの巨大プロジェクトが動き出す。その名はデスティ。次回
Death T!
最強最後の切り札。遊戯、お前に勝ち目はない。
This is foreshadowing for the Mokuba dress thing in the one filler arc. True. Oh my god, we're already at Death T? That's crazy. I guess, yeah. We're getting towards the end. And we still have to do Monster World after Death T. So yeah, I guess we're in Death T territory. Holy shit. Miho is so good. I just see Miho and I smile. Along with me. Hell yeah. I've got a couple of the collections, like the 3-in-1 volumes. Need to finish the lot.
Checkmate です、坊ちゃま。それでいいのです。私に勝ちたかったらその悔しさをバネにしなければ。3カード。
3カード。
フルハウス。やったー、初めてゲームで G に勝った。
もっともっと高く漕ぐのです、坊ちゃま。あなたは空の高みへと登っていかれるお方。もっともっと高く、坊ちゃま。
出た、最強最後の切り札。
やれやれ、いたいたしいな。
やれやれ。
海馬コーポレーションが誇る四天王、シェルダン、アイリーン、龍一までもが遊戯にやられちゃうなんて。どうするつもりなの、兄様。明日は海馬コーポレーションのライバル会社オメガタウンとの勝負の日だよ。
オメガタウン。
それもお互いに次に発売するゲームの内容をかけての大事な勝負。手駒がなくちゃ話にならないんじゃない？それに知ってる？もうすぐお父様が帰ってくるって。何でも兄様に相当腹を立ててるらしいよ。
心配はいらない。すでに手は打ってあ
る。手？何のこと？
いや、それよりもオメガタウンの試合、ゲームの機密。つまり会社の利益をかけての闇ゲーム。負けるわけにはいかない。
なんなら僕が出ようか。
いや、お前が出るまでもあるまい。 忘れたのか。俺にはまだ最後の戦士が残っている。最強の戦士がな。
人工心臓機能正常。人工肺機能正常。
Artificial heart, artificial lungs.
フォースドライブジェルイン。
Drive gel? They got Grandpa on the ultra life support.
オープン。
坊ちゃま、いや、海馬様。
大門、仕事だ。
あ、
Is
こ
he
れか
not
わいい。
actually his grandpa, or he was just calling him that?
私はこっち。
I guess that's what's going on.
いいよ、いい美穂ちゃん最高。まるで岩陰に咲くスミレが恥じらいながらひとひらの
Miho's looking at him like, can you give it a break?
け、何が。
それともやっぱりこっちかな。
それもいい、最高。まるで可憐な小鳥にバラの花びらが舞い落ちたみたいだ。
ねえユーギ、どっちがいい？あんずならどっちでも似合うよ。スタイル抜群だもん。
Unhelpful.
まあね、やっぱりこっちのこっちかな。
いい、まるでその星で花が蝶の。
無理すんなよ。だんだん例えが雑になってきたぞ。
Landing a butterfly on a flower.
ではただいまより次期発売するゲームの機密ディスクをかけてデュエルモンスターズによる勝負を行う。
海馬コーポレーションとオメガタウン、勝った方が来期のマーケットを独占することになるだろうな。
ねえ、本当にこんなじいさまが相手でいいのかい？ゲームの最中に死んでしまっても知らないよ。
What?
覚えておけ。ゲームに若さは必要ない。必要なのは相手を出し抜く経験と知恵だ。
面白い。行くぜ、デュエル。
メディカルコクーンを出て大門が生きていられる。
3 hours? What?
十分な時間だ。
今日はいっぱい買い物したね。あ、そうだ、ユーギ、明日遊園地でも行かない？今日付き合わせたお礼におごっちゃうから。
Wait, you want to go to an amusement park after last time?
あっという間の
Aren't you
勝利だね。
traumatized?
さすが兄様にゲームの基礎を教えた男だ。
海馬様はおいでになってなかったようですが。
お父様がヨーロッパから帰ってくるんでね、お迎えの準備が忙しくてさ。
社長が。
分かってるな。急いでくれ。彼をうちの病院にな。
何よ急に。ほらあれ、デュエルモンスターズ。
Boom, 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 boom.
あ、勇気危ない。
What? Wow. What? What?
どうしようハンズ。僕のせいで。ユギ。先生、助かりますよねこの人。僕のせいでこんな。
How is Yugi not hurt? Real.
手の施しようがありません。
Also love that, like, obviously it's just that they, he's already dead.
いや、事故のせいではありません。
No, he's been dead for a long
何年
time.
も前にこの患者は死ん
He
でいるはず
literally
です。
died several years ago.
どういうことですか？
They've been reanimating the dead.
人工肺、その他ほとんどの臓器が人工のものです。
He's more machine than man.
どうやって今まで生きてきたのか、今生きているのか、おそらく現代医学の最先端を行く非常に特殊な施設の中で守られてきたのでしょう。
Wait, it seems.
まるでゾンビのようにね。
ごめんなさい。僕が飛び出したりしたから。
気にするな。その医者の言った通り、私はすでに死んでいる人間なのだ。それより君もゲームは好きなようだ。
You seem to like games. Hey, you like games.
おじいさんもデュエルモンスターズを。
一つお相手を願おうか。
でも
心配することはない。ゲームは私の生きがい。私に力を与えてくれるもの。
I feed on games. They're the fuel that keeps me running. How do they? Okay, if they're playing. Oh wait, they pulled out a game mat. I was like, how do they do the game mat? if they're just playing on a bed like this. No, they just have one. They just have a game mat on hand. I was gonna say, like, it really, the way that scene was, it really made it feel like hitting Yugi caused the car to crash instead of just being like losing control after trying to avoid him.
昔は坊ちゃまもこんな風にただゲームを楽しんでおられた。
負けちゃった。驚いた。遊戯がこんなに簡単に負けちゃうなんて。
これだけ年を取ると人の心がわかるようになる。君は素質はあるが、まだゲームの進め方が素直すぎる。
あ、オレンジ食べます？私剥きますから。ああ、僕が剥くよ。
Both of us will peel it at the same time, together. Like a normal thing that people do.
大門、
海馬くん。
遊戯、すぐに大門を海馬メディカルキャッスルに移送しろ。あ、
The medical castle.
そうか。うちの車の前に飛び出してきたというのはお前だったのか。
ごめん。
どうやらやはり俺とお前は運命の糸でつながっている。
A red string of fate, you might
解
say.
いても解ききれない絡まった糸でな。
どうして海馬くんとあのおじいさんが。
あの男こそ俺に幼い頃からゲームの基礎を叩き込んでくれたマスター。少しでも手合わせできたことを光栄に思うことだ。
Oh, I didn't even know. I think everyone deserves to have a medical castle.
お帰りなさい、父様。
瀬戸はどこにおる？
父様の言いつけ通り、会議室で待っています。
This family is so strange. They're all such a bunch of weirdos. I love it.
まず訳を聞こうか。
Tell me
お前
why.
が建設中の海馬ランド。当初の予算をすでに3倍以上オーバーしながらまだ完成に至っていないその理由を。
海馬ランドは日本中の人々を虜にするであろうアミューズメントパークです。完璧なものを作ろうとすれば金も時間もかかります。
読みが甘かったというわけか。愚か者めが。貴様、そんなことでゲームの達人を自負するつもりか。
ゲームは人
Yes.
生と同じ。
Yes, I do think that.
何が起こるか分かりません。
おい、やはりお前に海馬コーポレーションを任せるのは早かったようだ。もう一度一からやり直すんだな。
何をおっしゃっているのか理解に苦しみますが。
何？
私の会社を私が運営するのは当然のこと。
お前の会社だと
He's doing the fucking 51 thing here. He's doing it now in season 0. What the fuck?
あなたの方らしいですね。
貴様。
The 51%
もない
thing.
お前をここまで育ててやった。おお、忘れたのか。
忘れているのはあなたの方だ。人生というゲームに負けた者に生きていく資格はない。それがあなたの口癖でしたね。
お前まさかこの私に。
He thought about jumping out the window, but it made him pass out.
何の用だ。メディカルキャッスルからの外出許可を出した覚えはないが。
社長に一言ご挨拶をと。
何か文句があるかな、この私に。
いいえ、私は今まで通りただあなたにお仕えするだけです。
ならば仕事を一つしても。
This show is so fucking cool.
お前が昨日知り合ったあの少年、 武藤遊戯を倒せ。
Alright, he already did.
少年を。
言い忘れたが、奴こそ四天王の3人を倒した張本人、俺の天敵だ。
あの少年が坊ちゃまの敵。あの優しい笑顔の少年が忘れなければならない。あの笑顔を。
He's just a kind old grandpa who wants to be everyone's grandpa. Well, some nice reuse of animation there. What? He looks like the old dude from the end of season GX season 1, the villain guy. Yeah. Maybe it is. He's a zombie. He can live forever, theoretically, as long as he's in the medical castle. Don't worry, Yugi. That's working out for you. I also scream kawaii at the museum. Kawaii. Oh shit, a dual dome.
Yugi, ゲームの時間だ。見ての通り、彼女の体はやがてモンスターの牙によって襲われる。助ける方法はただ一つ。大門とのゲームに勝つことだ。
What monster roar is that? Baragon, I think? I think that's Baragon.
じいさん、あんたに恨みはないが、手加減はしないぜ。
少年の雰囲気が変わった。
待っていたぞ、もう一人の遊戯を。デュエル、大門のターンからだ。
Grrr. Sounds like Kingdom Hearts music.
得意技は超音波攻撃。
言うまでもなく、このモンスターハウスは海馬コーポレーションの作品。試作品ながら、様々なハイテク技術が隠されている。お前たち二人の思考はドームに読み取られ、実体化する。
受けて立つぜ。パワーの勝るキングレックスで攻撃する。
It's interesting that they kind of sort of are doing the thing from the manga where Kaiba is so inspired by the shadow game that he creates a technology to recreate it. It's like, with the way it's played in the manga, it's like the thrill of being almost killed by dinosaurs or they monsters and shit like that. It's just like, I have to have everyone do this. I need to recreate this experience for everyone. He goes kind of insane about it. Gamera. That's a Gamera roar.
確かにまともに戦えばスカルバットはキングレックスに勝てない。がお前の攻撃の言葉にこの罠カードを発動する。
いきなり罠カード。
罠はゴルゴダの戒め。キングレックスは動けなくなる。
Ah, shit. It's the Great Saiyan Sea Golgonda. I didn't realize it came out this early.
はずだ。伊達に年を取っているわけではない。君の心はすべて読めると。
一つ聞きたい。なぜあんたはそんな体になってまで海馬のために戦
う？思い出のために。
Such a bad body.
海馬様がまだ小学生の頃、病床に伏した私を見舞ってくれたことがあった。
ねえじい、 早く良くなってよ。またゲーム教えてよ。はい。
オレンジ？たった1個のオレンジのために。
あの時の海馬様の優しさを私は
Yamiyuki doesn't understand the concept of enjoying a person.
貴様のターンだ。
ビッグツリー。これを守備にする。
Big tree. Oh man, big
弱気に
tree.
なったか。私はブラッディゾンビで攻撃をする。
It said zombie blood, but he clearly said bloody
さっきと同
zombie.
じさ。あんたの攻撃の言葉でこの罠が動く。奇跡の水。その流れがブラッディゾンビを押し流し、そしてその水を受けて守備に置いたビッグツリーが種を落とす。
What?
種は発芽し、生き残りのスカルバットを絡めとる。
Dude, I love when Yu-Gi-Oh didn't make any goddamn sense as a card game. It was just like free flow ideas. If you could say it, it was real.
パワーアップだ、ダイモン。その溶液はお前の大脳を刺激して苦しみを紛らわす。
What the fuck, dude?
うわ、これは見える。相手の手の内が。しかしお許しを、坊ちゃま。この大門、こんなものを借りずとも買ってみせます。ゴールデンペガサス。
Just cheating, like literally just cheating.
デビルドラゴン。
Komori Dragon is so cool. Devil Dragon is what it's called.
妖精オルフェイリア。昆虫デモノミス。
Wind Demon Insect. That's awesome. I love Komori Dragon. This is a cool design.
かかったな。ゴッドの完成だ。次はこれだ。ゾンビマスター。このカードそのものは弱いが、死者を自由に操る能力を持つ。つまり今まで負けた全てのカードを吸収し、最強のカードとなったのだ。
Okay. Mushroom Man! Number 2! Ah, fuck. Hey, reborn the monster.
魔法カード。死者蘇生のカードを使う。蘇らせるのはさっきあんたが使った妖精オルフェイリア。そして今引いたのは装備カード、光の笛だ。
まさか。
死者が蘇ればゾンビマスターはその力を使えなくなり、ゾンビマスターの力は削減される。そしてオルフェイリアは攻撃は弱いがもともとは妖精の王。
Oh yeah, he's the Fairy
光の
King.
笛を装備することによって最高の力を発揮する。聖なる光が邪悪なゾンビマスター。
Oh shit.
自滅の道をたどる。
This music fucking slaps.
妖精のオルフェイリア。
Absurd? Yeah, I think so.
人の心は読めたの。カードの心は読めなかったようだ。
The heart of the cards, he said it!
Oh.
見事だった。
あんたもな。俺が相手に敬意を持ってゲームをしたのは初めてのことだ。
お前なら取り戻せるかもしれない。坊ちゃまの失われた優しい心。
海馬の心。
This show is so gay. He hates oranges now.
出せ。この次は私が相手だ。という日。
I can't believe it. He fucking hates oranges now. What a fucking asshole.
海馬自らが動いた。じいちゃんの人質に究極のゲームバトルで挑戦してきた。
Death Tea! Death Tea! Death Tea!
決して負けることの許されない熱き死闘が今始まろうとしている。そして地獄のシューティング、さらに海馬の弟木馬とのカプモン勝負。次回完成究極ゲームランド、待っててくれじいちゃん。
Yep, Bakura again. Okay. Apparently we're gonna have like a 3-parter of Death Tea. But before that, of course, we've got to do an ad break. So we'll be right back.
King Kong vs. Godzilla. Nothing you've ever seen can equal the thrills of this extraordinary motion picture. Nothing you've ever felt can equal its awesome fury as the mightiest monsters of the ages clash in a battle of the century. It sears the emotions with shock and terror. It staggers the imagination. All new in color. King Kong vs. Godzilla.
I changed my mind, actually. We're not going to start Death Tea yet. Welcome back. I found out that Death Tea is actually a 4-parter, and I think what I want to do is just have a whole day where we do all of Death Tea. So next week, we're going to do the entire Death Tea thing in one go. I think that's better than doing half of Death Tea now and then half of Death Tea next week. And then after that, we'll do the Bakura arc and the movie and Monster World and the movie. And then we'll be done with season 0 and on to season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'll refund. Yeah, you get $0 back. It's free, motherfucker. Don't forget to subscribe to Batchy's Library. There's a new React coming out in about an hour. So if you want to see what I think of the new Chaos Ritual cards, you'll want to stick around. You'll want to make sure you're subscribed, ring the bell, all that kind of stuff. And in the meanwhile, let's just play some Genesis. Let's just play some Genesis duels. They put blood and bruises on Ray. What the fuck? Battle damaged Ray? What the fuck is going on? What are they doing? All right, let's see if we can get anyone in on Genesis format. There we go. All right, let's go. Damn. New count disconnected, and it will lose if they do not reconnect soon. That's interesting to do right off the bat. Well, I guess we just have to wait here for a little bit. See if they reconnect. Read any good books lately? Awesome. We take those, I guess. That was instant. Grab a deck. There we go. Oh. Gotcha. Got your ass. What the fuck is this hand, dude? What the flying fuck is this hand? Shifter? Okay, I guess. I mean, like, if you have it, you have it. It's just like, what's Shifter gonna do to me? I guess it takes out the Mystical Space Typhoon. That's something. Go Vision. And we're not even going to activate it. So this is a little unusual. I think what we're actually going to do is go, just because of the dim shift, we're going to go Cicada King, summon Takatomborg, special summon Takatomborg. We could make Dragon Gate. Ooh. Didn't think about that. Totem Bird. I don't even need to set the vision, honestly. Okay, we got a spell negate, we've got a monster negate. It's like something. It's not awful. And we got a Ghost Ogre in hand as well. Mimighoul. Do I bother negating that? No, I don't think I do. Uh-huh. Cool. Cool. Awesome. Great game. That's the good shit right there. That's what you want to see. Oh shit, someone who picks scissors first. Most people pick rock on this format, so that's why I always go with the one red-eyed dice in hand. Oh, Fire King. Okay. Oh, they're popping the Ponyx. That doesn't seem great. I guess it gets it in the grave to come back to hand. Okay. So I think right off the bat we're gonna go Vision. It can protect the Fire King Island. But I do need to, like, do something about it, probably. I need to get the Mystical Space Typhoon in Graveyard, is what I need. We're gonna go Sven here. We're going to just pop the Sanctuary. Just, like, don't bother popping the Fire King Island, just pop the Sanctuary first. Come on! You don't know what my hand is! You don't know what my hand is! Okay. Is there anything on YouTube worth watching? Because apparently I can't get a single good Genesis game going. Any Yu-Gi-Oh stuff to react to? What? Okay. Oh, let's go on YouTube and see if there's anything to react to. I don't know. There's a Loopholes episode. Loopholes? Good fucking shit. Loopholes is so good. Oh, I was about to say this would be a good one, but it's like an hour and a half long. Jesus Christ. Has Farfa put out anything stupid I can react to? Here we go.
Today we're gonna be doing viewer call-ins once again.
Oh God, no. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, here we go. Here's something to react to. Delete the side deck.
And welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great and fantastic morning, weekend, evening, day, whatever it is you are up to. Hope it's been an absolute blast. Thank you so much for showing up to the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video.
Why is so much preamble? Just get into it.
Comment down below with your thoughts and opinions after you have gone through the discussions in this video. There's much to break down. There's much to talk about. We're even going to be looking at situations once again, talking about the different aspects of side decking in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Why is there so much preamble?
Oh, this, of course, disclaimer, is just a thought experiment. A little bit of a thinkerino to help our brains exercise themselves so that we can discuss the pros, the cons, the negatives, all sorts of different aspects of the side deck. We're going to be subdividing this into the following categories, so stay with me here as we
Are we going to get a
discuss
full
conceptually
minute of
what is the
preamble before we
purpose
actually
of the
start
side
talking
deck,
about what's
what are
going
the
on?
usages for it, and then we'll be tying that into the history and origins, how has that changed over the last few years, and of course, we're going to be looking at multiple different situations in which the side
We hit a
deck
minute!
has
A minute
allowed
of preamble, folks!
express their gameplay
Give yourselves a hand, that's a minute of
or
preamble!
positive ways in a competitive aspect. We'll be tying the TCG into Macedo here, just to look at this from the perspective
Can we make it
of
to 2
tournament,
minutes?
how that has shaped the Macedo competitive landscape, at least in the Challenger Cup realm, and if there is a future for this in Ranked. And finally, of course, we'll be wrapping everything up with a nice little summary, conclusionary thoughts from myself, talking about...
You don't need to give... What the fuck? Why are you giving a table of contents for your video?
What I think about this situation. If this sounds like your kind of video, then thank you so much for stopping by. Maybe consider becoming a Patreon or channel member to see more discussion topics like this. Let's jump into the first aspect.
A minute and a half. A minute and a half into the video. A minute and a half into the video. We start talking about what the video is about. How does he have viewer retention? How does he have any viewer retention on this? What the fuck?
What is the purpose of the side deck? Why does it exist? For what reason do we need to side deck? This is one of the most underutilized mechanics in the entire game. Even the most competitive players will sometimes find ways to flub this up and not really have laid out plans into what actually constitutes their side deck plans.
Side decking is actually like one of the things that people don't think about enough when they're, and I'm terrible. I hate side decking. I fucking stopped doing side decks for my deck profiles because I just don't like it. I don't really like it at all.
At the very beginning of the game, the side deck has always been 15 cards. It's been cards that you bring in and out into game 2 and 3 that allow...
Look at all these terrible ass side decks too. Just like the least fun cards imaginable. Ugh, I just put shit in there.
One of the
yeah.
best usages of the side deck, of course, is something as simple as not having good cards for certain matchups. In any competitive metagame, you will be entering a turn.
Josh talks about not knowing how to side deck even. Yeah, it's tough. It really, unless it is literally just like knowing what floodgates to have on board to deal with your opponent. Like unless you're in that kind of format, it is a tough thing side decking.
You will be analyzing the field based off of your experiences.
I like how many of these side decks are not a full 15 cards too.
Projected assumptions of what that metagame is going to look like. If you go to a locals or a regional, you might just simply know most of the best players in your area, what decks they happen to be playing, and then you can...
I don't have side patterns, it's all vibes. Yeah, I mean, vibes are the best way to go, I think.
More on the macro scale to try and understand fully what the metagame is looking like overall. We're talking continental. We're talking about people from multiple different nations coming together in one tournament. That is a whole different way to analyze the game. But the point here is that you will be making certain meta calls based off of the cards you put in your deck. You might decide that Perulia is really good this form because of just the overabundance of Vanquish.
There was a Tistina deck in the Dortmund Genesis that had 8 cards on the side. Hell yeah.
In a situation where you get paired up against like
just didn't need the
5
rest of them. All you needed was the 8.
And suddenly that Perulia just isn't very good into that matchup. They can actually give you 0 draws just by playing Draco Tail naturally, by not even normal something, just playing off of Faimina, Ketus, and Rahus. So this sounds like a good idea, right? It's supposed to alleviate bad matchups and help you out in situations that you weren't necessarily prepared for. Now, conversely, one could argue, well, that's your fault. You
shouldn't have been playing Perulia in the first place.
It is a card game. There's going to be aspects of variance and randomness. You just have to accept the fact that your deck wasn't built for this specific matchup. Cry about it. At least that's what the best of one Master Duelist will tell you. So I guess to wrap this section up very simply, one does kind of just have to ask themselves, is this a good
This is
deck?
the best part of the
best
video because it has a cat in it.
Best of one. Well, some of the positives of this, of course, is that best of one can be very high variance. Well, of course, at this point, we have multiple years of data from Macedo at this point to really sort of analyze this and hit this point home.
So best of one can be high variance, but you don't have to have a side deck to do best of three.
Now, what I think best of three helps alleviate in this aspect is this idea of variance. Sometimes you just sack your opponent with Maxi Full Loss and they don't draw Ash Blossom. You open starter, extender, Nibiru, and that just shuts down their entire deck fully. In a best of three situation, yeah, you might actually sack
Or
your
apparently
opponent. They
two
might
lava
sack
golem.
you, but the idea
Wait,
is that over the course of
how do you do
multiple
two lava
games,
golems in
those
one
extremes
turn?
even out. For history and origins, there isn't really much to report on this.
Do they have like a
the side deck has pretty much stayed unchanged for the last 20 or so
what you
years.
call it?
It's always just been there as this tool.
The
Now,
one
I
of the
think what has
fucking
changed
fuck ass
is the
cards that you normal
attitude
summon
that
twice.
players have had towards the side deck. I can even remember myself just first starting
Morganite.
out 10 years ago in the competitive landscape where social media was maybe not as
Doesn't
popping as
use
it
your
was
normal
today, where
summon, it stops you from
information
normaling.
wasn't disseminated
That's
as
so
quickly and
funny.
as fast as it is today with things like metafies, spreadsheets, Discord communities, all of these different highly competitive environments encouraging you to think about your deck really in a sort of optimized way and in a way that is like ultra competitive rather than just this idea where, well, these cards are okay, let me just throw them in. This is a good engine, let me just put this in. So attitudes have certainly gotten more optimized and competitive towards the side deck. You have these things called side patterns now, a term which was definitely not in the common vernacular of the average competitive Yu-Gi-Oh player 10 years ago. Side patterns being essentially, well, versus this matchup, I'm going to take out these 5 cards. If I lose game 1, I bring in these 3 cards. But then in game 3, if I'm made to start, I can bring in these 6 cards, etc., etc. These are the different types of mathematical
I guess I've just never played in
and
a game where it
ratios
mattered
put
that
into
it
the
stops
side
you
deck
from
today that never really were
normaling but doesn't use your
commonplace
normal,
10 years
right?
ago. One other fascinating aspect of the side deck that has
It
happened
only
couple
really
of
matters
times
if you draw
throughout this game's
multiples.
history has been smoke screening. Smoke screening is this idea that you bring in an entirely different engine compared
Okay, smoke screening I think is the only argument for side decking because I think smoke screening is funny as fuck.
to what you were playing in the first game. We saw a very popular version of this recently where a Labyrinth player was actually playing Labyrinth and then side decking into Tenpai.
cards
These are
on the
very
side.
different strategies. Labyrinth wants to go first, Tenpai wants to go second.
Side decking is
being
legal
used
only
to-
for
in a way
smoke
to
screeners.
completely confuse your opponent, put them in a very difficult situation. Now the problem with this, however, is the fact that, well, if you get it wrong, you're playing Labyrinth going second or Tenpai going first. Historically, we've seen other advantage of this, like for example, a Beast Warrior amalgamation of Bujins and Fire Fist. In 2014, there were people who were playing a Bujin deck. People would then bring in things like Debunk, Graveyard, and Hand Removal. And they would bring in things like Light Imprisoning Mirror to stop Bujin Yamato and the graveyard effects of all the Bujins.
God, it's crazy how side decking has always been about bringing in floodgates to stop your opponent.
But then they would just simply...
Smoke screening is the potential man of TCGs because they win one turn and never ever happen again. Yeah, it's the unfortunate thing about smoke screening is it's not actually good, it's just funny.
Smoke screen into Fire Fist. Fire Fist being an engine that was all fire monsters. So I think to conclude this section, we can say that for all intents and purposes, the side decking has become more important and more integral to the strategies and the usage of competitive players, particularly when you consider the fact that the game has significantly sped up. When a game is just based around turn 1 and turn 2, those important cards that you bring in for game 2 and 3 become really, really decisive. They become game-winning aspects of
Yu-Gi-Oh's always had a lot of the problems that
Game-winning
happen
is
today.
exactly what we're
Yeah.
gonna talk about.
Yeah. It's almost like they're built into the card game.
Situation.
And it just keeps happening because they keep having it that way. And they just haven't ever changed it.
1. I side deck into a powerful silver bullet. You do not draw an answer.
Ooh, banning specific cards for the side deck. You want to play them, they have to be in the main deck. What if we just ban them entirely? What if we just ban certain cards entirely?
I win the game. This is perhaps the most egregious example of the side deck. How many times have you been in a game where your opponent just brings in something like Dimensional Barrier, 07 to Dimensional Barrier, thank God that thing is gone in the TCG, and you just cannot play your deck. It is just not able to function. They've brought in a Mystic Mine many years ago. They brought in Retaliating Sea. If you're playing a trap
People always
deck,
say Yu-Gi-Oh sucks nowadays. The player going first wins. This has happened since Library FTK. Yeah, and like it was really consistent during Frog FTK, and that was in GX. I think Shifter and Droll are fine if you're just mating them. I don't know about that.
side deck into something like Red.
Although
Blue,
I just won against
we have
that
seen
Shifter
through many
earlier,
years
so
of Yu-Gi-Oh! Just how absolutely detrimental it can be to have one of these silver bullets side decked against you in a game. Now, to counter that, one will simply argue, well, the problem with this situation is the floodgates, the silver bullets, the powerful broken cards. If you just simply ban all of these cards, and which you'll notice, most of the ones that I mentioned are in fact banned now, the game becomes significantly healthier and the side deck does what it was intended to do initially.
well, okay. I know I'm not letting him finish. I'm gonna predict what he's going to say, because I also agree with this. Kind of. What he's going to say is that if you ban the silver bullets, there would just be more silver bullets, right? I think that's what he's going to say. In which case, you should just ban those too.
Which was to help your strategy and to give you a little bit of a better compensatory.
You should just keep banning
angle
silver bullets
versus
until
your
there's none
opponent
left.
compared to outright winning the game on the spot. Because it's not really fun or enjoyable to interact with a counter trap, even today. Things like Solemn Judgment have been hit recently. People are now opting to play things like Dragon's Mind. Counter traps that cannot be interacted with, that just simply shut down a card, some sort of clutch important spell, and you just find yourself unable to keep playing, especially when
Yeah, I feel like the counter trap maybe should not have existed. Oh, he's not even going to rebut it. Okay.
Situation 2. Your
Or was that the rebuttal? That counter traps exist? What?
little bit of a better compensatory angle versus your opponent compared to outright winning the game on the spot. Because it's not really fun or enjoyable to interact with a counter trap, even today. Things like Solemn Judgment.
What? Hold up. What?
Ban all of these cards, and which you'll notice most of the ones
they're
I
banning
mentioned
all
are
the
in
silver
fact
bullets.
banned now. The
and
game becomes significantly healthier, and the side deck does what it was intended to do initially, which was to help your strategy and to give you a little bit of a better compensatory angle versus your opponent compared to outright winning the game on the spot. Because it's not really fun or enjoyable to interact with a counter trap.
It's the first that I saw in
Things
Mastership
like
that was
Solemn
funny.
Judgment have been hit
Wow.
recently. People are now opting to play things like Dragon's Mind. Counter traps that cannot be interacted with, that just simply shut down a card, some sort of clutch important spell, and you just find yourself unable to keep playing, especially when going second. That it becomes really frustrating.
I don't know what his point was there. I genuinely don't know what his point was.
Situation 2. Your powerful side deck card counters my powerful side deck card. They trade. No meaningful gameplay occurred. How many times have you seen duels where people...
Dragon's
have
Mind's a funny little card.
A Malice player brings in Dimensional Fissure, and so you have to think about some sort of removal maybe that is going to actually let you have a chance versus that deck. And that's not even like the worst part of the Malice deck. It's like, you know, they set up the full combo and they have die fight. I mean, that is... Yikes. So the point here with this situation is...
He's just reading out an MS Paint meme, I think. Yeah.
Don't really seem to give
I was expecting him to like give a rebuttal to his own point, but no, he just let it out there.
Gameplay. You've brought in Droll and Lockbird, that immediately is supposed to shut down the game. But I've drawn the one-off Call by the Grave, or a Cross Out, and that manages to counter that counter. And so now, we've essentially just lost 2 cards, and we are just continuing to play the game. Now, I don't think this is a very compelling argument or situation to really think about. At the end of the day, cards do trades with other cards. I suppose maybe the problem here is just how high octane these cards are. If a Droll resolves versus a certain deck, that might just be the end of the duel. If a Red Reboot resolves a certain deck, it's very likely the end of the duel. So while a card is trading with another card, I guess maybe the thing to take into consideration here is the fact that, well...
He's just saying words. Man, I wish I could just say words and have people watch it. I gotta script my videos.
It's a massively powerful game-swinging card, which causes so much high variance to occur in games. 6-7, 6-7. And I suppose the main thing is that this ties back into what we said before. It's the blowout, the silver bullets, those absolutely crazy, broken, egregious floodgates that get sided in. People bringing in Spell Canceller, people bringing in Retaliating Sea. This is really the main problem. It's not so much that the cards aren't being drawn or are drawn, it's just that the cards that do get drawn are so high value, so pivotal, that they create frustrating experiences. Situation 3. I have a really bad matchup against your deck. Because of this, I can meaningfully take out unplayable cards for more useful cards.
So
And
this is the
right
intended.
here is the absolute best case scenario. I've got a bunch of
So he's
graveyard
just
hate
describing the
with
three
views in
ways
my
that
main
the
deck,
or
and
the
I'm
several
playing
ways that
against
the
Labyrinth.
deck
Well,
works
it means
or
that I
the
can
side
bring
deck
in something
works
that's just a little better for this matchup.
for the game,
Dual loss might
I
not
guess.
be amazing, but at least it has some usages compared to
He's
Nibiru.
literally
I
just
might even be
explaining like
side-decking Ash
this
Blossom instead of
MS
main
Paint
decking, although
joke.
to be fair,
Oh
he
my
would've been doing
god.
that from Ultrami Dual Loss, but for the most part, you can see that there are different cards that you can bring in that are very sort of blanket and
How many views does this have?
like the Ghost Sisters.
43K
They sort of
views.
help depending on what deck you're
43K
playing against,
views
but they
on
help.
this.
They don't outright win games.
And then we go over to my channel, and this video right here that I spent several weeks on and scripted, and it's a 27-minute long video. It has 605 views. What I'm getting from this is we should explode Farfa. Well, you know, I didn't say it.
And so, how does this affect us Master Duel players? Well, for those of you who are in tune with the Master Duel competitive landscape, one of the biggest sort of tournament circuit series that happen are the official Konami Challenger Cups.
There's a lot of reasons to want to explode Farfa. He's not even giving an opinion, he's just saying things. He's just saying statements from MS Paint memes.
And the rules have changed in different ways over the last couple of months. We've seen some tournaments that only require best of one. We've seen some that require 2 deck lists. So not a side deck.
By the way, the tournaments where you just have like multiple decks, that's fucking awesome. I think that's such a fucking cool idea. I don't know if it's working really well, but it's a really neat idea.
Deck list that is locked in, where you can only play a going first and play a going second deck list. This is really interesting, but I suppose it might be worth tying into this to maybe talk about. What would you consider locked deck list to be like for a tournament setting? So there was an event in Master Duel kind of recently where you basically had a designed deck.
Most of his brain power is going in the pendulum retrospective he's doing. Oh boy.
But if you lost the dice roll, you would
I don't know if I want to hear his thoughts on pendulum monsters, because I don't even know what mine are necessarily. It's a really
play this like crazy spiral wombo combo deck.
I don't know. It's a tough
I
one.
might play some sort of like board breaker sword soul deck with lightning storms and stuff like that. This idea that there are locked deck lists depending on if you go
like every time I complain about this, everyone's like, "Yeah, but he's got like a really busy schedule, and so he this is the only way he's able to get these kind of videos out." And it's like, then why is he getting them out?
Can sound kind of interesting conceptually, but I suppose that goes back to one of the situations we discussed, and that is just silver bullets and blowouts. If you can guarantee that you're going first, you just bring in the absolute biggest war crime that you can commit and just hope your opponent doesn't draw enough hand traps. Similarly, for going second, well, it's just board breaker hell.
Should just made another Master Cube. Literally! Master Cube's awesome! I love that show!
Weird environments where neither player can really do anything.
Or Storage Wars, that's a fun one!
Let's discuss best of 2. Best of 2 is this idea that both players get to play the game going first and going second. There is no third decider game. Those of you who are observant may recall that this is
Cubes are fun.
very popular.
Cubes are fun to
Disney
watch,
lore
I
canon,
think.
Although I think they might have scrapped it semi-recently. It was sort of how you played.
I think cubes are more interesting than like the Master Saga stuff a little, but
you would get to go first, and then after that game you would have to go second, irrespective of the outcome of game 1. Both players get a chance at going first. There's no side decking, there's no bringing in the other cards, and there's no changing up the deck list. You just play your deck, but you get to go first and you get to go second. I'd be very curious to understand really why, from a competitive aspect, why they decided to scrap this, because I think it is interesting, but there's no way Yu-Gi-Oh would ever adopt something like this, especially from another game. Best of 1 or best of 3? Well, I suppose this sort of discussion just kind of boils down to the type of person you are. Do you have 7 hours to spare?
I hate cubes because my friends always hate draft my deck. That's so mean of them.
Best of 3 definitely sounds very reasonable for you. Do you only have a couple of hours per night or even per week to spare playing Yu-Gi-Oh? Best of 1 definitely sounds more fulfilling because you could just simply get more games out that way. Depending on if you're a casual player, a competitive player, I think there's valid arguments for all.
I will say the fact that Master Saga managed to make it 10 seasons while Progression Series only made it to 2 seasons does say something maybe, but Progression Series went longer. It's just that, you know, for season 2 was so long.
Aspects. But the most important thing to take away from is really, you know, hot take here, right? Like, never been said before, but if you ban all the floodgates and all the crazy broken, like, silver bullets and stuff like that, well, maybe the side deck is completely fine. And the
Video over. Now we finally got to the point of the video. We finally got to the point of the video. Yay!
No issue. And in fact, it's actually a really interesting, good part of the game that allows you to
finally
use
a statement. Something was said.
Strategies for certain matchups, for going first, for going second, provided of course that you don't just come up with some crazy dumb strategy that just instantly wins the game. I hope you enjoyed this little discussion video. Let me know what your
I didn't. That was really, I'm sorry, I was really mean about that one, but man, that one was so rough. It was so rough. This entire video boiled down to Floodgate bad. Please ban Floodgate. Yeah. Ay, ay, ay. Like, look, man, I've got my slop videos. Look, there's one right here. But, like, I put them on another channel. I don't pretend that there's something else. What day is it? Rent due. Oh, boy. By the way, if you haven't watched Soup Emporium does good videos. Research videos, thoughtful, scripted, even, you might say. Fucking hell. Oh, God. That video is so bad. I think that's literally the worst one of those we've watched. Like, usually he has something to say. This time, he didn't have anything at all. Oh, wait, hold up. That's not what I wanted. It was going back, right? I wanted to check the comments. There was an event in Masterduel kind of recently. Show's event from 3 years ago. Awesome. You know what? This is a legitimate one. Like, I side deck cards so I have a chance of winning in this matchup, and I don't draw them, I lose. Like, that is something that happens sometimes. But that's only, I think that's still only really a part of this if you're siding in, like, win buttons, right? Instead of siding in cards that make you better, like makes your deck better in the matchup. Right? All I heard was ban silver bullets. Well, that's all he said. That's all he said. You should be able to destiny draw your side deck text like in Tag Force. True! Most win buttons tend to be floodgates or other unfun cards. Exactly, yeah. Oh, man. What a fucking video. Does MBT have anything to react to? Again, there is loopholes. See, MBT makes his slop content extremely easy to recognize. That's how you should do it. They should make archetype cards that are meant to be in the side deck. Did you watch Disencoder's Jeopardy video? I did not. Oh, you know what? Oh, that would actually be a good one. Whoa! Cistant coder? I mean, he is cis, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. Most MBT content is slop content. Well, that's the same for Farfa, too. Oh, fuck. It's a goddamn hour-and-a-half video. I was going to do the Magic the Gathering players in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because that actually did seem interesting to react to. But it is an hour and a half long. I heard people really like this one. And because like these Magic players, instead of coming at it from a "whoa, Yu-Gi-Oh is so dumb" kind of way, actually coming at it from trying to understand Yu-Gi-Oh as a card game. It's only 45 minutes at 2 times speed. Dude, I hate watching the shit at higher speeds. Like, they really, really do. I have audio processing issues, so it's way better than the SEMA ones. Yeah. No, Distant Coder's really happy with it. I was talking with him in a Discord, and he seems pretty happy with it, which is I'm glad for him.
What's up, guys? It's your boy
Really appreciate those videos. They're genuinely interested in the nuances. So many times when a Yu-Gi-Oh collabs with a Magic player without fail everything about Yu-Gi-Oh, they explain is met with, "Oh, that's fucking stupid. That's why I don't play this game. Who could ever understand this?" Yeah, I like that's. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll watch this next time or something, because it's really long. We could like maybe speed it up to 1.5 and watch it next time after Death Tea. Although we did end Yu-Gi-Oh! Not abridged, Season 0 early today, so maybe we could just go a little longer than I was intending to. Fuck it.
And you'll notice that I have lost my voice, but we're still going to be doing this anyway because I have 2 very special...
Dude, you gotta protect your voice. Keep your voice safe, man. You're gonna have your voice fucked up forever. Let's go 1.25.
Special guest here today that the Magic the Gathering enjoyers in the comment section told me that I gotta work with. So today I am happy to introduce the guys from Play to Win, the YouTube channel, the podcast, both, I guess. We got Cam and we got Dylan. How y'all doing, boys?
Dude, doing great. Excited to be here.
Phenomenal over here on my end.
So what I told them very little about what we're doing today.
That guy looks like he'd make a beautiful girl.
Yu-Gi-Oh rules, and they need to figure out using their Magic the Gathering.
That one, right? The one with the long hair.
How it probably works. Now, the most important thing that I asked them is, what is your level of Yu-Gi-Oh knowledge and experience? And you guys said
very little. For realistically, my only Yu-Gi-Oh experience is I played card games for a very long time, specifically Magic. So I have friends who have always played Ugioh, so I've been near it, but I don't really.
Can you tell the difference between the 1.0 and 1.25? Because it sounded like insane to me. I can tell. It's
monsters were good. If you had a strong 4-star monster that didn't need to sacrifice
it's a little
creature, that was powerful.
different.
And then after that, I stopped paying attention. So the game is obviously a lot different than what I know it as. But I roughly understand the idea of 8,000 life, and I know that it's a very fast format, and I get card games a little bit. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was 4,000 life, and Lajin, the Mystical Genie of the Lamp, was the best card in the game. So I think I'm a little bit behind.
You know what? No, I think this is perfect.
But I also like do a lot of audio stuff, so that's partly part of why.
We're gonna be going through. I'll have you guys reading the cards, and you basically have to use your intuition. Assume that you're sitting down for your very first game of Yu-Gi-Oh. This happens. How would you assume that it would play out? Now,
by the way,
you guys are
give this one a
together.
like.
Okay, it's not like a
give this one a subscribe.
You guys can communicate amongst each other and be like, how do you think this works? How do you think that works? But ultimately, the idea is to showcase just how different the rules are for Yu-Gi-Oh and for Magic. So it's perfect that you guys know very little about Yu-Gi-Oh, because then you can utilize your Magic the Gathering and overall general card game knowledge to try to figure this stuff out.
I'm ready.
So, right before we get into it, I do want to explain 2 very important things about Yu-Gi-Oh rules that are like the big differences between Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic. The biggest one is the difference between what we have called the chain, which is what you guys in Magic call the stack. So the
we gotta explain this.
Stack multiple effects, one after each other. Whereas in Yu-Gi-Oh, that system, we call that the chain.
Okay.
But the big fundamental difference between the chain and the stack is that with the stack, when the stack is resolving, you're able to add more things.
Most Magic
to the
players
stack
always overthink too much.
Resolving effects that are on the stack.
Yeah.
Whereas in Yu-Gi-Oh,
I could see that.
Functions, let's say you use something as chain link 1, I use something as chain link 2, you then use something as chain link 3, and we agree, okay, we no longer have anything we want to add to the chain. We're going to let the chain resolve. At this point, no more effects can be added to the chain until the chain has fully resolved all the way down to chain link 1. So once the chain begins resolving, you're resolving the entire chain.
This is so weird that the stack just lets you continue adding things to the pile.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but Dylan, that means that every single stack has split second after the last spell gets put on the stack.
Yeah, honestly, that might solve some problems in CDH.
I can't think about Magic.
He's literally like, yeah, that would actually probably be better for Magic, wouldn't it?
That's wild. Okay, all right, I get it now.
That is kind of easy to understand, though. That kind of makes sense, and I feel like that makes it easy to resolve, especially as like newer players, because in Magic, every time something happens, you can do something else. Anytime something finishes happening, everyone's allowed to do something else. So
it's insane that Magic's like that.
Yeah, and Yu-Gi-Oh specifically go, here's all the shit that has to be done. Okay, we agree? Cool, do it all. Yeah, okay. That's just how that works. The other big fundamental difference between Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic is that
Like,
you
that's
guys
so
have
crazy, right?
fail-defined rules. You're able to activate cards that would fundamentally do nothing. You're allowed to, let's say there's a card that says, destroy all your opponent's creatures. I assume you're allowed to activate that even if your opponent has no creatures.
Sure.
In Yu-Gi-Oh, that's not a thing. In Yu-Gi-Oh, in order to legally be allowed to activate a card, you must not only be able to do something with that card, you need to be able to do the entire effect. If in Yu-Gi-Oh I have an effect that says, for example, destroy all monsters my opponent controls, then special summon a monster from my graveyard, if I don't have a monster in my graveyard, I can't even activate that effect, even if my opponent has a bunch of monsters on board. You need to be able to fully resolve the effect in order to activate it.
Can you,
yes, sir?
Can you activate the spell if your opponent has no creatures on board? If it says destroy all creatures, return a monster. If they have none, can you do it still or still no?
You also cannot do that.
You
Like
also can
Raigeki,
do that.
for example, old school Yu-Gi-Oh card, you're not allowed to activate Raigeki at all
Lawyer
if
game.
your opponent doesn't have any monsters on board.
Okay,
So they have to have at least one.
Mainly play
creature
Pokemon
to
TCG, so I'm not good with Yu-Gi-Oh or
Otherwise, it's
Magic.
not a legal
That's
activation.
fair.
Same thing with search effects or tutor effects.
I've
like
dabbled in
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Pokemon a little bit here and
Let's say I
there.
have
I
reinforcement
enjoyed
guard, which
Pocket
is
for a
add
while
one
until it
to hand.
just got out of
Don't have a
hand.
warrior in my deck, I'm not legally
It was hard
allowed
to keep up with the
activate that
gacha.
Okay.
So those are the two big fundamental differences.
I have one more question about Yu-Gi-Oh, and I think this is one of the only times that I'll ever get to ask this question. Is this true that in
Oh, yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh you're not allowed to go infinite? Like, if you would be able to present a loop that could like infinitely do an action that could kill your opponent, are you not allowed to do that, or am I wrong?
So that is a fantastic question that I won't give you the answer to because I put an infinite loop question in this quiz. So you'll get your answer,
All right.
but you'll get it
I'll
later.
figure it out today. All right, good. I'm glad we can segue that.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So with that being
That's
said,
awesome.
with all the rules set out and all that stuff, it is time for us to get into the actual quiz.
See, I like the vibes
are
already
you
because
guys
they're
ready
just
to go?
interested in learning about the game.
Awesome. Question number 1, and I started you guys off a little bit easy with cards you'll probably recognize.
Oh, good. 4-star monsters with no effects. Okay.
So if I activate the spell card, Pot of Greed, and my opponent chains with the quick play spell card, Mystical Space Typhoon, targeting my
yes.
Pot of Greed, what happens? So if you're not
Does
super
MST
familiar with
negate?
how spell cards function, Pot of Greed is very popular, right? It's just activate it, draw 2 cards. Spell cards are cards you can just activate.
Play to win, guys. Rock. I
However,
watch their
if they have a
podcast
cost
sometimes even though I don't play
if they have a cost
Magic.
written on the card, you can
Cool.
just activate it on your
I
own
like
turn.
I like
Mystical Space
Spice
Typhoon
8
has a
Rack
little
and
weapon
the
bolt next to
Professor.
spell card
I do
word,
watch them on
which means
occasion,
that
even though
if
I
you
don't
play,
play
you use
Magic
it
at
on
all.
either player's turn. So if
Um,
I activate Pot of Greed to draw 2, and my
These guys
opponent
seem
then
chill.
uses their Mystical Space Typhoon in response to my Pot of Greed to destroy my
Definitely
Pot of
negates.
Greed,
Only if you have the continuous trap on the field.
I have an answer.
Go, Cam.
I'm gonna
Ooh,
go.
talk to me.
I'm gonna go based on my Magic logic. The one thing we didn't talk about the stack versus the chain is the stack operates on a first in, last out basis. So
Okay.
as spells get put on the stack, the first thing that's put on the stack is the last thing that's gonna resolve. So in this case, if someone puts a draw 2 on the stack, we call them divination, and it's way worse than Pot of Greed. But if you go to divinate or Pot of Greed, and someone tries to stop your Pot of Greed from going off, what would happen is that would resolve first, and then your Pot of Greed would try to resolve, but it can't. It got stopped or countered. So I would think that Mystical Space Typhoon, even though Pot of Greed has been revealed and you want to do it, by the time it goes off in the chain, it's no longer there, and Mystical Space Typhoon is effectively a counterspell.
I have a thought as well, and I think it's different than yours. I want to read it as if this was like Magic the Gathering stuff, because this is destroy target spell / trap on the field, whereas to me, Pot of Greed, in Magic, it would never be on the field. This looks like a
Pot of Greed is an artifact. No.
but I don't know if Yu-Gi-Oh! If that means like if every spell, I don't know
Maybe
if that
it
means
is,
that it
though.
has to touch the field. So like in Magic, this wouldn't work, because if you're destroying something that's on the field, it reads to me like the Pot of Greed is already on the stack. So destroying it wouldn't do anything, but destroying could also...
Wait, so when you play a card, are you saying when you play a card, you don't play it on the field, you just play it into the ether?
No, yeah.
It goes into the stack first. It's like when
Oh,
you cast a
what?
fireball,
Yeah, they don't have spell trap
there's a chance
zones.
for someone to interact with the fireball, but instead of the fireball
That's
actually
insane.
going off, they just like
Because
put
what
it
you're
out.
doing on Magic is you're putting it on the stack first, and then if the other player agrees that it resolves, then it goes into the battlefield. But like a spell...
Watching this on 1.25 speed instead of normal speed, it makes it feel like they're all just like really hyped up on coffee, and so they're all like eager to get out there what they're
would
saying.
never touch the battlefield. The spell would just go from the stack right to the graveyard when it resolves. But your reaction is making me think that's not how it works. So I think Cameron's right.
Well, okay, so I can tell you right now that in Yu-Gi-Oh, when you play a card, like if I activate a spell card or I activate a trap card or whatever, I activate it to the
on the field.
and the effect activates and resolves on the field.
Okay.
A trap has to be on the field. The trap can't.
Trap's gotta be, yeah.
Fall into a trap that's not there. Like, could
Well,
you
you say that. You say that. There are cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that are trap cards that you can activate from your hand that we like to call hand traps. So,
Of course.
that is a thing that exists more or less.
Yeah, I think...
This quiz is gonna get way harder. Okay.
But yeah, I got to imagine, Mystical Space Typhoon would stop Pot of Greed from resolving, but
The
in Magic,
fan-made
it kinda
Yu-Gi-Oh!
reads like maybe
Universe
that shouldn't
Beyond
happen,
draft,
so
Mike.
I'm not sure.
That's cool.
Fair enough. So we're gonna lock in Mystical
I do
Space
wonder if
Typhoon
they'll
will
ever
stop
do
the
that.
Pot of Greed, and I will not draw 2 cards.
Yu-Gi-Oh's been doing a lot more
So, the
crossovers
reason why I
recently,
put
so
this
it's
one in the quiz
possible,
as the
maybe.
first question is because this is the typical way that you know whether or not someone is.
But they also
brand
kind of
new to
hate their
Yu-Gi-Oh! Or
competitors,
not.
you
We have
know?
this meme called Mystical Space Typhoon Negates, MST Negates. In Yu-Gi-Oh, effects are completely separate from the card that is activating the effect. So in this situation, Mystical Space Typhoon is destroying Pot of Greed, but the effect of Pot of Greed is already on the chain, and because Mystical Space Typhoon doesn't say that it negates it, it'll destroy the physical card. Your physical card, Pot of Greed, will go to the grave, but Pot of Greed's effect will still resolve. and you
Except for
will
when they're
still
not
draw
continuous
This
spell
kind of
traps
does make
and
sense
field
for
spells,
Magic, then.
yes.
So knowing that there's a difference between destroy and negate makes a lot of sense because in Magic that is. The
I
same
hope
thing
the
as well.
second
Destroy
scenario
and
is literally just a
counter,
continuous. It's like the same situation, but it's a continuous
So
spell
knowing that they're
instead.
different things, yes, okay, that makes sense. It's the draw two
That would be really funny if the
Yeah,
second one
the
was
draw
just
to
a
effect is already on
continuous
chain.
spell.
Notoriously, a really funny thing. There's like some types of cards that need to still be on the field to resolve.
no,
So,
he's
for example,
explaining
if I have
it.
a field
Never
spell
mind.
that would say draw 2, right? If they destroyed my field spell, the field spell wouldn't draw because a field spell needs to still be on the field in order to resolve its effect, but normal spells do not have that rule. And so this is typically how we know someone's a beginner or whatever, is you'll go to locals and some guy will chain destroy your normal spell and you're like, the effect still resolves, and they go, well, how? I destroyed it. There's no way. It's not there anymore. And you're like, MXT doesn't negate, buddy. And that's just typical like Yu-Gi-Oh meme. It's how you spot a beginner. So I decided to lay out this little trap for you guys. You flip.
Are you going to mention the Radiant Typhoons? You really confuse them and mention that there is a way that MST can negate?
Okay, I decided for this quiz that instead of going super technical, are we going to go with super like intricate rulings or anything like that? Or do I go for silly shit? And I felt like you two were the type to enjoy silly shit. So I decided, fuck it. Let's do some silly shit. So here,
Hell
for
yeah.
question number 2, I got the
I love
following
silly
cards.
shit.
The trap card Relay Soul. And with the effect of Relay Soul, I have
Oh,
to bring the
Relay
head of
Soul.
Exodia, the forbidden one, onto my field. And my opponent has a set trap card, Compulsory Evacuation Device. So
To
basically,
put the
lay out what
Exodia
the
into your
rules are
hand.
here, I control Exodia the Forbidden One that was summoned via the effect of Relay Soul, which says that I can summon a monster from hand, and while it's face up on the board, I effectively
This
can't
is
lose
such
the
a
game,
silly
but if the head of
scenario. I
Exodia
love it.
leaves my field, I lose. And then Compulsory Evacuation Device lets you target a monster on the field, return that target to the hand. However, the other 4 cards in my hand here are the 4 other
Pieces of Exodia.
And the head of Exodia says that if I have the head of Exodia,
By the way, this
on
animation
side
stuff is
4
really
rings in
good.
my hand, I win the game. What happens?
So I think in Magic, I think
Fuck.
this would be. It looks like 2 triggers going on the stack at the same time, and they're both your triggers, which means you get to order them how they resolve. I think, right? Cam, correct me if I'm wrong, but
I
these look like these are
genuinely
2
don't know
I guess no, because
this one.
No, because I guess
Win cons
realistically, if these-
work
by-
so
by
weirdly in
Magic, if
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Exodia
yeah.
is in hand, that means that the.
I
Oh shit, dude! I don't know.
I feel like Exodia's win con just happens. I'm gonna say Exodia wins out over Relay Soul. Oh, it could be a tie. That's right. It could be a tie. Because it happens at the same time. Or does it happen at the same time? When does the trap card hit the graveyard to do its thing? When does the trap card's effect activate? I need to look up Relay Soul really quickly. Where's I apparently got rid of it. yugioh.com. Wish they sponsor me. Relay. It happens when the monster it summons leaves. When it leaves the field, your opponent wins the duel. No, I think you're right then. I think it's a tie. Let's see.
So my question,
I think they go in the stack at the same time. You get to order them. I think.
My follow-up question is: if Exodia if you just reveal Exodia, is that a trigger or is that just a win? Because if that's just a win, then the trigger from the other trap card goes on the stack, and then
that's a really good question. So in Yu-Gi-Oh, whenever a win condition or a lose condition has been met, it doesn't activate, it just applies. The interesting part about this question, the reason why it's so complicated, is because you're.
I always forget the ties can happen in Yu-Gi-Oh. They're so infrequent. I forget they're an option.
At the same time as reaching the lose condition of Relay Soul, your monster leaving the field.
I see, because in Magic, the word when indicates that it's a triggered ability, which means it has to go on the stack and then it has to resolve.
Yeah.
So that's why the when it leaves the battle.
They are rare. They do happen. Good old self-destruct button.
Another thing with Magic is there's 2 things that come to my mind. Is number 1 is that usually can't overrides can. But I don't know that that applies because you can win the game or you can't win the game. I don't think that applies. But the other thing is that there is something else, though, in Magic called layers, which is something that every Magic player knows about but doesn't know what it is. And it's and it's basically the distribution of how on-board effects are applied and how they're looked at for the game state. So there's things that basically say, well, what if I say all lands are swamps? But I have another card that says all lands are mountains. How do I decide? Are they both? Are they one or the other? Like, how are they applied? And it's layers that determine. You have to look through the layers and how this goes. So maybe my thought where I'm going with this is that these two effects are applied.
It kind of works like the way that like the order in which cards are like skill drain versus Jinzo. The one that's like newest on the field or the one on the field first rather applies first, right?
Layers. And that whichever one is layered above the other one is the one that will apply first. And I think that because it's Exodia, it will apply first, so you'll win the game instead of
Also, Cameron, Exodia says if, whereas the other card says when, and in Magic, if means it's a replacement effect, and when means it's a trigger. So if it's a replacement effect, it doesn't actually go on the stack in the same way.
I love that they're trying to dissect the wording. It's so cool.
Reason. I think if Exodia is in your hand, you'll get to
so
resolve that
such a
first
smart way to handle it.
If and when are very clear for us here, but it's probably way wrong.
So what's really funny is that in Yu-Gi-Oh, if and when mean two wildly different things, and the word when is a word that Yu-Gi-Oh players hate to see on cards. I didn't actually put a question for this in the quiz, but fuck it, maybe I added, bro. That'd be really funny. But if and when in Yu-Gi-Oh, very divisive words. So for you guys, if and when means that an effect is either a trigger or a replacement. That's so
right. Yeah. So like a trigger would like go on the
CGP
stack, like a replacement it would like kind of like happen instead of what's happening, right? So like Cam,
like he's all right at analyzing cards, but Simo really enables him to shit talk Yu-Gi-Oh more than he needs to.
When these 5 cards are in your hand, you win the game. In Magic, you would win the game, right? With the trigger still on the stack.
Yeah, there'd be like a state-based action that would occur. That would like, I mean, it's weird because there's nothing in Magic that says reveal your hand. And you
I now understand why this video is so long.
A state-based action where it happens, the game would see it. The game
and it just acknowledges,
those cards in your hand, and then
you wouldn't even reveal them. You would just say,
no,
"I win."
You would reveal them, but it would be like a replacement effect. It wouldn't make sense in Magic, but it would be like a replacement effect for having 5 cards in your hand. So it would just
a couple of yappers,
like,
3 yappers, really.
You could do it on the online client.
They're taking on the burden of doing the yapping for Kevin since he can't talk very well.
On the stack and go, nope, that's not going to resolve. This player already has the win condition.
Right. Yeah.
But it's really it's weird in Magic paper when that happens, when you just go, oops, no, and I feel like I'm one of the rare hunters.
But I win. Cry about it.
I'm the rare hunter that battled Joey in season 2. Like I literally feel like that guy.
Dude knows his anime. Holy shit!
Before Relay Soul says that
I think we're gonna
100% of the time, and I would put money on it. Yeah.
I think what's really funny is that you guys were debating option A, Exodia wins. Option B, Relay Soul makes you lose. The correct answer is actually secret option C.
Oh, no.
A win condition and a lose condition have been met at the same time. Therefore, the game results in a draw.
That's devastating.
It is not
That's
a win,
awesome.
nor a loss. It is a draw. Now, does this ever happen? Fuck no, absolutely not. This is probably
Good job,
never happened
Mayes. Good
unless
job,
you were
Mayes.
Specifically trying to get this to happen. However, really funny that it results in a draw. And honestly, this one's a little bit like of a silly question. Most Yu-Gi-Oh players probably wouldn't even know the answer to this one. I'm gonna be so real.
That's so funny.
That's
it
true.
Negates itself. I guess that kind of makes sense, but I don't know why that's like an unsatisfactory answer.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be one or the other.
It is super unsatisfactory, but yeah, that is just.
Don't worry, it's never a situation you're getting into.
All 5 pieces of Exodia in your hand, and you keep playing the game.
No, so the game can't continue while you have all 5 pieces of Exodia.
The game just ends, is it?
Yeah, it would just be a draw. Like you're like, okay, the game I have lost and won simultaneously. Therefore, the game is a draw. Pick up all the cards and proceed to, I guess, game 1, number 2, you know?
Yeah, game 1, number 2,
like
baby.
An effect in play continuously that says you win the game, like on a creature, on a Magic card. And like if you Dress Down did, which is a card that says all creatures lose all abilities. It like enters, has no abilities, but then Dress Down leaves the battlefield. It's still going to say you win the game on it by the time it's there. So like you can't really pass with something that says you win the game.
So interesting.
Outright. Otherwise, like, the game is just always over and you winning then. So
I actually think it's so interesting.
I love Ghost Trick Angel of Mischief.
Are there cards in Magic that just like have an alternate win condition that just say if you meet this condition you win the game?
I'm glad you asked. The card that people love and hate the most in the format we play the most, CEDH, is an alternate win condition called Thassa's Oracle, where if you have no cards in your library, or basically if you have little to no cards in your library, you win the game.
Okay, so the effect of that to win the game, does that go on the stack, or is it just I have met my win condition, therefore I win?
Normally it's a trigger.
It's a trigger that will go on the stack.
Okay, yeah, in Yu-Gi-Oh, we basically don't have any Like anytime a win condition is met, it doesn't go on the chain for the most part. Like anytime you meet a win condition like Exodia,
Yeah,
it doesn't go on chain. Even if like let's
it
say
just ignores everything.
I have,
It just
Chainlink 1,
happens
Chainlink 2,
immediately.
Chainlink 4, a bunch of shit. Chainlink 19, an effect that draws my whole deck. I'll draw my whole deck. At that point, because I have Exodia, I win the game. You don't even resolve the rest of the chain.
Got it. Okay, so wait, so your chains, this is also important. Your chains resolve last in, last out?
So no, chains resolve exactly like your stack. So basically, Chainlink, like, so if I go Chainlink 1, my thing, you go Chainlink 2, your thing, your thing resolves.
Okay,
before
okay,
mine.
got it.
Yeah.
Understood.
So that is question number 2. God fucking yeah, bro. All right, off to a fantastic start. I mean, I'm learning so much about Magic, which is not what I expected I would be doing today. But
There's a
honestly,
card where
I
your
guess I don't
opponent
know
has
what I
no
expected.
cards in hand, they lose.
Let's move on to question
Hell
number
yeah.
3. So a big thing that I do, I've done a lot of like ruling based like quizzes and stuff like that on my channel. Typically, whenever I do ruling based quizzes,
Before we go into this next quiz, let's take a quick little ad break and then we'll be right back. We're back, folks. Ready for more. Ready for more.
I put a lot of normal monsters, so we call them vanillas. I don't know if you guys call guys with no effects vanillas. You do? Awesome. Anytime you see a vanilla in my quiz, it's just a placeholder guy. It could be literally fucking any dude. I control Bean Soldier, the goat, and my opponent
Hell
controls
yeah.
a continuous trap card called Gozen Match, which is what we like to call a floodgate. Gozen Match says that each player can only control one attribute of monster. The attribute is Earth, Fire, Dark, so you'll notice Bean Soldier, an Earth monster. In this situation, and you mentioned sacrifices before, so you know how tributing works to tribute summon a monster. My question here, if I have my Bean Soldier on my board and my
yes,
opponent
the
controls
psychic
Gozen Match,
floodgates.
can I legally tribute my Bean Soldier in order to tribute summon my dark attribute summoned skull.
Oh, okay. I have a thought. In Magic, I think this would be yes, you would be allowed to do this. But in Yu-Gi-Oh, I think the answer is no, because you, I think, said earlier that there's no area before the battlefield. If you want to play something, it goes onto the battlefield, and you're not allowed to do it if you can't do it. Which means, is there a moment that Summon Skull and Bean Soldier would technically be?
That's such an astute observation.
Because in order to play the Summon Skull, you put it onto the battlefield, and then
yeah, dude, that's exactly right.
Creature. Does that make sense? I'm gonna say that you're not, but that sounds really good though that you're not allowed to sacrifice. But I guess I don't really know.
So the order in which you perform a tribute summon goes as follows: you select the card that you want to tribute summon. So in this case, the Summon Skull. You then send the tributes for it. So here you would send the Bean Soldier to your graveyard. Then you tribute summon the Summon Skull you put on the board. So no, they're never on the board at the same time, but you do have to select your Summon Skull as the guy you want to tribute summon before you send off the Bean Soldier.
Okay, so knowing that, then I would say yes, you would be allowed to do this.
Oh no, he's getting tricked.
I've just been tricked, but I'm going to change my answer now that you said that.
He's being tricked. Even though he realized it.
Do you agree with that? Do you feel differently about it?
No, I think I have to agree with that. I think.
Okay.
I think there might be something about I think I'm focusing a little bit too much around the fact that you said that goes and match is a floodgate. And I'm thinking that words mean things, and that floodgate might mean that it allows you to open up the opportunity to do something.
Wait, is floodgate not a term that you guys use?
I have no idea what that means.
No, we don't use floodgate.
Okay,
no,
so in Yu-Gi-Oh, the term floodgate, obviously not a real game term, but floodgate is a word that we Yu-Gi-Oh players use to describe cards that say you can't do something. So like a card like Skill Drain that negates the effects of all your opponent's
because
guys, that shit's a floodgate.
It
goes
stops
that,
the
you can
flood.
only control one
It's a
attribute,
floodgate.
That shit's a floodgate. That's what we like to call floodgates.
I see. They're stacks pieces, we call them.
Okay, interesting.
Stacks,
Interesting.
yeah. So I would say that this stacks piece here does not prevent us from summoning Summon Skull in this case.
Famous stacks piece.
So this is a two-part question.
Goes in
I'm going
match.
to give you one other little piece to this one before I give you the answer. So in Yu-Gi-Oh, we also have this thing that it defines the game that we call the extra deck. You guys are probably more familiar with the fusion deck, that deck on the side where you have your fusion monsters. In Yu-Gi-Oh, they've expanded and added a lot of different types of extra deck monsters, so it's no longer only fusions. There's synchros and Xyz and link monsters in there and all that shit now. I'm going to show you a link monster. You do not need to read the effect, okay? Because I don't want to overcomplicate this for you guys. This is Link Spider, a link monster. And the way that you perform a link summon is very similar to how you perform a tribute summon. You basically look at the materials.
Link Spider's a good option.
One normal monster, which the Bean Soldier is.
For this
and the way you perform a link summon is
example.
you would just send the materials that are listed on the link monster from your field to your grave to then summon this out from your extra deck. So it's not a card you have to draw into. It's a card you just have access to and can effectively just cheat out, provided you have the right materials.
That sounds so good.
It's really good. So most decks in Yu-Gi-Oh are built around the idea of these 15 cards in my extra deck are the best cards in my deck, and my deck is built around being able to put the materials to cheat out these cards from my extra deck. That's usually the gameplay loop of Yu-Gi-Oh! So in this same situation, opponent controls goes in match, and I have, we're going to say, a monster other than Bean Soldier, because Bean Soldier's an earth, and so is Link Spider. So let's assume in this case Bean Soldier's a fire, right? Would I be allowed to link off my Bean Soldier that's now a fire for some reason in order to summon my Link Spider? And the order of doing this is similar to a tribute summon. You select what you want to link summon, send the materials, and then slap your link summon onto the board.
Well, now I'm thinking the answer is no, because I didn't really understand that them having different types meant anything, because since to me it was either one at a time or two at a time. But so if there being different types matters, then I would say no, that you probably can't do that then, right? Because if the type
the whole idea is that they have different attributes, and goes and match only allows you to have one attribute on them.
So that but that does make no sense to me, because what you're saying to me is in order to tribute some of the thing, you have to get rid of the one and then you put it. So to me, there's never a moment that they're on at the same time. But now I'm thinking that maybe this still doesn't care because of some sort of timing thing of Yu-Gi-Oh that I don't understand, that even though it's one after the other.
It's because you're having to select it.
I don't know, not allowed. I don't know. Cam, what do you think?
I'm now realizing that I don't understand.
I love that's so good instead that's so broken. You tell these guys love broken shit. Yeah.
Like, can I play another fire monster?
It's a weird ruling, but the reasons for it make sense. It is that you are declaring that you're summoning a thing, and then you're declaring the materials essentially, and you can't declare you're summoning something that you can't legally have in the field. And then you go to even if then the materials would go to the grave, right?
I have Bean Soldier in play, and then I get to choose. No, I want fire now, and I get to dump Bean Soldier.
I can give you the answer to that one. That's a really good question. So goes and match prevents you entirely from summoning a monster with a different attribute than the attributes that you control.
Oh,
so
this
if I have a
changes
dark,
everything.
if I have a dark, I cannot legally summon a fire attribute monster.
Okay,
with
then
Gozen
I
Match on the
think
board.
then I have to change everything. Then my answer is you cannot Bean Soldier into Summon Skull with the Gozen Match in play, but you can sure as shit Link Spider away.
That's such a
you know
funny
what? No, you
take.
said it was a fire monster.
Assuming the Bean Soldier's a fire, I should have used a different vanilla for this.
No, I get you.
can
I
pick
get
a different
you.
one, but I blanked on Link Spider and Bean Soldier the same attributes. This is a stupid question.
I'm gonna say no to both. Now knowing the way that Gozen Match
Should have been Flame
officially
Manipulator.
goes, I think it's gonna be no to both, but I think there's gonna be something about Link summoning that's gonna prove me wrong. That's gonna be.
Yeah,
what
I think
bet.
Cam's right. Something about Link summoning is going to make it not the way that it seems that. But yeah, I agree with what Cam said, that you're not allowed to do it.
Fair. Well,
Wow, they sussed
the
it
first
out.
time in this quiz, you guys are both correct. You are not allowed to attempt the summon of the Summon Skull, nor are you allowed to attempt the summon of the Link Spider, because in Yu-Gi-Oh, these cards, Gozen Match, there's another card called Rivalry of Warlords that does the same thing for types instead of attributes, and there's also this other card that's called There Can Be Only One that says you can't control more than one monster of any given type. Like you can't control 2 fiends or whatever. And these cards, they also trick beginners a lot of the time because they're like, well, they're never on the board at the same time. Why can't I?
I got by this when I went to the locals for the first time because my locals are evil. Everyone at my locals is an extreme tryhard, and except for okay, so my locals are full of extreme tryhards, and then there's the people who aren't tryhards have to play these heinous floodgate decks to compete with them because they don't want to play meta, but they don't want to want to lose hard every time. So my locals is just entirely full of people playing the most advanced meta deck currently available, and people playing like Zombie World, Rivalry of Warlords, Mystic Mind Turbo. Sounds fun. There's a reason I don't go there anymore. I do not go there anymore. Miserable ass locals. The only one near me too. So fuck. Yeah, I first time going to locals, I got Zombie World, Rivalry of Warlords, and I was Rivalry, not Gozen. Rivalry, and so yeah, my dinosaur deck could not make anything that I wanted to make.
Do this that doesn't make any sense. I agree that it doesn't make any sense, but these cards
Honestly,
like to say
Rivalry
they
hosts
can
my
work
dino deck
with
anyways.
They can see the thing that you're attempting to summon. The real explanation for the rule is that I gave you the order of how you perform like a tribute summon or a link summon. You select the thing that you want to summon before sending away the materials. But because you have Gozen Match on the board, the game recognizes that the thing you are choosing to attempt to summon isn't a thing you can
And that was back when Dino was actually pretty good. Animador and Archator had just come out.
legally
That
summon.
was
in this
the
moment.
time period of
So
that.
it doesn't look ahead to the fact that, oh, well, they'll never be on the board at the same time. It'll just look to the fact that, well, right
We were
now,
making VFD.
summoning
Very
Summon Skull is
fun
up.
dragon.
No matter what the fuck you're going to do, it doesn't care. It just goes, this is not a legal summon you're attempting, so you can't even attempt to do.
Okay, that does kind of make sense. So there is kind of like a stack. That does make a little bit of sense. I think Magic would work in a similar way.
Sort of. It prevents you from even attempting the action. You can't even like activate an effect that would summon like a monster of a different type or something like that. That's not something you would legally be allowed to activate because you're locked in on this attribute of Earth because you control the.
That's kind of how Magic works, I think. There's like a whole bunch of steps in like how to cast a spell, and the first one is like announcing that you're casting the spell. But I think there's also like a mini fake one before that checks to see if you have the ability to do it, and then if you don't have the ability to do it, you like
That's
back up
awesome.
because you are not allowed to cast it because you can't cast it. I don't know. Magic is kind of weird.
That's like only if you did cast it and you realize in play that you can't actually do what you just did and you have to back up. But like,
so I have a question about Magic. Okay, in Magic, do players like also not know the intricacies of the rules really well? Because in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like a very notorious thing. There's a bunch of rules in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I'm a huge nerd and know all of them because I gave a fuck to learn it. But like I could ask top level players questions about how damage works or battle works at Yu-Gi-Oh, and most of them wouldn't even know all the answers.
Yeah, I would say it's similar for most Magic players. Obviously, the
I think
very
it's like most
competitive
card
ones know how
games
most of the rules
are going to have
work, but
some
realistically, even
esoteric
still,
stuff that people
most
don't
of the
know.
Magic players, they know how their deck works and they know how it works with the metagame around it, but they probably couldn't tell you all of the rules of the weird fringe decks that are going to pop up or how every single part of the rules works. They just like know how their cards work because they know what happens. But right, Cam, I feel like a lot of time no one knows all of the rules. There's so many rules of Magic that I could not tell you, but I roughly know how the cards that I use frequently work.
Yeah, I think what Dylan described is perfect for like the established metagames of like the competitive formats, but the more popularized casual formats.
Oh, yes.
I think people have their phones out constantly because they have no idea
Really?
what, and even like what an ability does because they stop putting reminder text on things and it just says encore. What the fuck does encore mean? I have to remember what encore does. That's just a flavor word that doesn't help me at all.
Interesting. Well, okay, well, you guys are on the board. You guys got one right.
Kind of, yeah.
Congratulations. Hell yeah.
Doing better than I thought that I would. All right.
We're going to go on to question number 4, and I thought I would throw you guys a bone. Instead of asking you about a Yu-Gi-Oh rule, I'm going to give you a card, and the entire question I'm asking you is, how the hell does this card work?
Oh, no.
I present to you a card that broke the brains of Yu-Gi-Oh players when it was first announced, Small World.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, is he going to show those guys last turn? I thought for sure he was going to show these guys last turn and have them try and figure it out. Like, it took a Google Doc of like several pages for Yu-Gi-Oh players to create problem-solving card text for last turn. You can't do that to them. No, Small World is much better.
Choose one, comma. How important is grammar and punctuation
Very.
in Yu-Gi-Oh rules? Is it very?
So in Yu-Gi-Oh, the things that are important are colons and semicolons.
Yes,
They
it's
let
that part.
They tell you
34
basically what
pages,
is an
yeah. Oh
activation
my
requirement,
God.
What is a cost, and then what is an effect.
Magic is the same way.
This card doesn't have activation requirement or cost. All of this is effect. The only thing that isn't technically effect is the last sentence in this card is just, it says you can only activate one of this per turn, so it's just a restriction.
Let me read this one more time. Okay, so reveal one monster from your hand, comma, choose one monster from your deck that has exactly one of the same type, attribute, level, attack, or defense, and banish the revealed monster from your hand.
That's a cool
Then
shot.
You don't have to show your
Good
opponent.
good editing.
You do have to show your opponent, and then you put it face down. Okay. Then add from in Magic, when something's face down, your opponent doesn't get to see it. That's what that means. Then add from your deck to your hand one monster that has exactly one of the same type, attribute, the same thing that we just said before, as the monster chosen from your deck, and banish that card. Wait, what? Then add from the deck to your hand one monster that has exactly one of the same attribute as the monster chosen from your deck, and banish the card chosen from the deck face down. You can only activate once per turn. What does this just...
So one thing that I will clarify, just to make it easier for your own comprehension, in Yu-Gi-Oh, the concept of banishing face down, banishing for us is exiling for you guys. However, in Yu-Gi-Oh, cards that are banished are very easy to interact with. Whereas, to my understanding, when you exile a card in Magic, there are like so few cards that can interact with those cards, they're effectively
they're normally gone for good.
In Yu-Gi-Oh, if you banish a card, a lot of people like to refer to the banish as a second graveyard in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's very, very strange. So the way that Konami have...
Well, the graveyard's
designed
just a
cards to
second
basically say
hand,
these
so...
cards are gone effectively for good is to banish them face down, because very few cards interact with face down banished cards. So basically, when you see banish face down or whatever, you can just assume it's just exile, just get rid of
Forever.
that shit,
So does this card allow you to exile a card from your hand and a card from your deck of the same type, and then they're both just gone? Is that all it does? Did I read that correct? Or
I think the card in your hand stays.
does
right?
it say?
You are going through the steps that the Yu-Gi-Oh community went. I'm sorry, what the fuck am I
exiling two of the cards
So
from
you
my library?
reveal one monster from your hand.
Small World is such a
You
strange
get to
card.
choose one monster from your deck that has exactly one of the same type, attribute, level, attack, or defense. So if it's a fire monster that I reveal, I can reveal a fire monster, but it cannot have the same type, level, attack, or defense as the card that I revealed. So only
Correct,
one
that's
of the-
correct. That is
only
correct.
one of the things that was revealed can match the same thing. And then I banish that card face down. And then I do the same thing again, except instead of the revealed card from my hand, I'm using the...
Oh my God, he's
stats
doing
of
it.
The first banished monster, and now
He's
I can
doing
go
it.
off of attack. So now I can have one that's the same attack, and then that, but the defense has to be different, the attribute has to be different, the type has to be different, and then you do it a third time, but you're again basing it off of the second one. So it's this crazy 3-card tutor that puts 3 things from your deck into banishment that probably combos with a bunch of other stuff. And all you did was reveal the card.
he
and I don't
almost
see
had it.
anything that says put the revealed card from your hand, the revealed monster from your hand into banishment. So that's what I think it does. That's
My
what
mind
I'm
is
gonna say
blown.
about it.
I'm only seeing it telling that you're allowed to do that twice though. How are you seeing the third time? I think it only mentions it twice.
Maybe it is just twice. I was looking.
To me, it looks, but I'm also realizing that this card, I think it stays in play. It says you activate it once per turn, so I think that this spell does not go to a graveyard after you finish doing its thing. I think maybe it is allowed to remain on the field each turn. So does that mean that you just get to exile 2 cards
you're
from your
being
library every
tricked.
turn? Does that are you?
No, so one thing I'll clarify. So this is a normal spell, like Pot of Greed.
This is a one effect.
Normal spells, when they resolve, they just go to grave. They're like a one.
Then the once per turn at the bottom.
You just can't flip another one over though.
Yeah, the once per turn just says if you have 2 copies of Small World, you can't play both in the same turn.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there we go. There we
Yu-Gi-Oh
go.
does that a
Thank you
lot
for
because every
clarifying
card in
that.
our game is broken.
I don't
So
want
in
to be
order for you to not be able to
tricked up
just
by that.
infinitely do shit, basically every card has the
Except for when they don't. Well, you're not going to get into soft ones for turns versus hard ones for turns. Oh, also, yeah, the Swords of Revealing Light not going to the graveyard. But it says it on the card.
Otherwise, if you could multiple small world, that's like a 6 tutor if you do 3 of them or something. Yeah, maybe I counted wrong, but that's what I think. I think this is a cracked tutor that like certain decks that need to find 2 specific monsters can like find them just because one of their stats happens to.
You said there's not many effects that look for banished face down cards, but there's got to be one. There's got to be like one card that.
So I'll tell you right now, there are no good effects that interact with face down banished cards. Like the extent that you'll be able to do is there's some cards that can return face down banished cards back into your deck or whatever.
They're getting tripped up by not noticing the fact that the last card gets added to the hand.
All this does was thin your deck and just like exile 2 cards from your deck. To me, that seems bad, but maybe I don't understand. I'm gonna say that's what this does, and I'm gonna say that it's bad.
Yu-Gi-Oh always throws a curveball at you.
There's a
Like,
trick.
when you read a card, you go, "This card looks like it sucks," and it goes, "Actually, it's part of the most broken deck that's in existence."
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh does do that a lot. You'll read a card and go, "This is ass," and then it's insane. So honestly, I'm gonna give you guys the point for this one because you're
so close.
much closer to understanding how
They're
this card
so
works than I would
close.
have ever expected you to be. So I'm just gonna give.
They're
you
missing
basically
one
what Small World does.
piece.
You said it's
The
a
one
cracked
piece is
tutor
real.
That can search anything provided that they randomly have a thing in common, which is exactly what it is. What it does is it reveals a.
If we had a
monster in your
deck that
hand,
could
and
grab
then you
back
get
from
to
face
banish
down,
from
Small would be
your
so
deck
busted. It would
something
be,
that
yeah.
has the same, like one thing in common with the thing in your hand. You banish that thing from deck and this thing from your hand to then take a third card that has one thing in common with that one you banished from deck and just add it to hand. So basically it says, you take this card, take one thing in common with this and one thing in your deck, banish this, then take a second card from deck that has a thing in common with this one, banish this one and add that third one. So that's what it does.
Wait, so you banished the first one?
So technically, it's a -1.
Oh, he's like, now that he knows what the card done, he's like, oh, it's broken. And we're going to have to be like, not really. It's only okay.
You play Small World and you lose a card from hand. So you go -1, but a bunch of random like combinations of cards in the game just let you tutor effectively anything out of your deck.
Wait, so you banish you're banishing one of the cards that you search from your library and the original card that you reveal to find a third card and put it into your hand, and you get to keep that card.
Yes.
That effect's gotta be broken. That's gotta be so good.
Well, so the thing that's really funny, actually, so I know this is not one of those videos of like, is this card broken or whatever. This card has seen very fringe competitive play, rarely, very rarely. But that's because most decks in Yu-Gi-Oh are so consistent they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'll
It's
play
like,
this.
the decks are just already so consistent you don't need a -1 to get your combo starter.
Consistent. The one thing that I find really cool about this card, it's called Small World because the whole idea of the flavor of the card is that it's a friend of a friend. Like you and this one person know each other from one thing in common, and then this person, the other person know each other
It's
from
a
one
cute
thing
card.
in common. So that's the bridge between it. It's really funny. It's really silly.
Oh, I get that. That's funny.
The decks that need to already
Well, the
lose
thing
to
that's
Ash
really funny
Blossom
about this card
anyways.
specifically, right, is that resolving it tends to be a nightmare if your opponent, like, because the thing is, Small World can effectively tutor anything, but typically when people put this in their deck, they like predetermine like, okay, so with this card I can bridge through this one to this other card, and they'll know like 4 or 5 Small World bridges, but then sometimes they'll get into
But then they won't draw it the correct order, and they'll have to figure out a new
a base
bridge.
where they're like, I need this other card. I had not planned to search with this card at all. And then you're like doing calculations and you're like, does this have the same attack as that? Does this have the same attribute? And then you're sitting there resolving the card for a minute and a half, trying to find a bridge to search the thing you want. Nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
There's, honestly, that kind of sounds familiar. There's an iconic card in Magic called Doomsday that just says you basically get to look through your library, you choose 5 cards, and you exile the rest of them. And then your library is just those only 5 cards left.
Card be
And
killer in
it
Magic
can
the
be very
Gathering.
powerful
I
cards because
imagine
it
so, yeah.
effectively just like, it gives you only the 5 cards that you need, but like it's a notoriously very difficult spell to resolve because
That is
although
such a
theoretically there's an
funny
easy line that wins you the
spell.
game,
turns ahead and
yeah,
shit,
once
right?
and once anything changes, all of a sudden all the math is different. What you have to do is different to get access to the 5 cards or whatever. So it kind of sounds similar.
Insane. Okay.
That
well,
is
hey,
so
you guys
funny.
Are 50
Magic the
right
Gathering is
now,
such a
2 for
silly
4.
game.
Not bad at all.
Nice.
All right, so now this next question, I'm going to show you guys a card that I'm gonna need to explain to you how they function. But this is Imperial Princess Quinkery, which is an XYZ
Oh,
monster.
no.
So XYZ monsters are like links, like fusions. They live in your extra deck, and they're a card that you can just cheat.
What
out
are you
onto the
doing
board
with
under certain
Quinkery?
conditions. So the conditions for
Quinkery.
Imperial Princess Quinkery, in order to cheat her out onto the board, is you have to have 2 level 5 monsters on the field. And the way that XYZ monsters function is you take those 2 level 5 monsters, put them one on top of the other, and then you put the Quinkery on top of that. So the 2 level 5 monsters are under your Quinkery, and the way you got to look at this is Quinkery is a gun. The cards underneath it are the ammunition. You will detach one in order to activate.
Good way to
the effect,
describe it.
So it has a limited number of uses in order to activate her effect. So here you control a Princess Quinkery that has 2 level 5 monsters underneath it. The level 5 monsters underneath it don't matter. And then in your graveyard, you have this card called Artifact Mjolnir. this card, which is a level 5 monster. I'm going to read you the relevant part of Quinkuri's text, which says you can detach a material from this card, so remove one of the ammunition, target a level 5 monster in either grave, special summon it to either field. That's all it's doing. So in this situation, the Quinkuri is
not a
going to target the
Mjolnir
artifact
lock.
Mjolnir in your grave and is going to summon it to your opponent's side of the field during your turn. What happens? And I'll read you the relevant part of Mjolnir here as well. It says, if this card is special summoned during your opponent's turn, which is activation requirement, target one artifact monster in your graveyard, which is...
We're watching Distant Coders Can Magic Players Understand Yu-Gi-Oh! Rulings. It's great. I'm loving this video.
Next turn, except artifact monsters.
For something to be an artifact monster, it just has to have the word artifact in its name, right?
Correct. Yes, correct.
Cam, do you want to take this one? Because I'm already confused. I have no clue.
I'm a little confused. What I'm going to say is what this breaks down to is that you're
Using lab wall to summon Quinkuri, he goes card.
Yeah. As we call it in this game, that says that they can't play their spells. They can't cast their monsters.
They can't play any guys. Yeah, no guys.
Because they're probably not the artifact deck.
The artifact deck is dog shit. Unplayable. No one plays artifact cards.
Which is why, because I have the artifact Mjolnir, if I give it to you and it says that you can't play things that aren't artifact monsters, that means that your deck is good because it's full of non-artifact.
That sounds like that makes I agree with Cam. This makes a lot of sense. I think that's what it does.
Fair. So I thought I was tossing you guys a curveball because at the start of this video I told you in order to activate an effect you need to be able to resolve it. You need to be able to use it. And the Mjolnir says that you have to special summon an artifact monster from your graveyard. But Yu-Gi-Oh! That rule that I told you doesn't apply when an effect is mandatory. So this play that I'm explaining to you guys here, the Quinkuri...
Nobody plays artifact cards like he has Scythe and Builder on the ban list. Look, they're not summoning them the normal way.
Floodgate stacks piece, like you like to say, their opponent out of playing their entire turn by just going, I summon Quinkuri, here's a Mjolnir, you're locked into artifacts until the end of your own turn. And the only reason why that works is because Mjolnir is a
Cam was a freaking brain genius. Yeah, no, he's so good at this.
Special summon a guy from grave. This would not be a legal effect to activate, and it would not floodgate your opponent at all.
Again,
the only reason why it does floodgate
also
them
should
is
try
specifically because
estrogen.
it is a mandatory effect, so it has to activate. Mandatory.
Oh, okay. So that's kind of weird. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules can almost like the rules can override
I
themselves.
love how your faces, bro. Cam is just like in awe, and Dylan's just like, what the fuck am I listening?
Because it sounds like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules can like override themselves almost, which is kind of interesting.
Well, that's what they did in the anime too. So
yeah, pretty much.
That's your answer to everything. Well, you know,
this type of
am I wrong?
Floodgating thing is like a common way to like perform a combo because from what we talked about earlier is I think that you're not allowed to perform infinite loops. So rather than like creating an infinite loop, you just like permanently lock your opponent out from playing the game, and then they just concede.
That is a thing that happens a lot. This artifact Mjolnir card because of this exact play is banned.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool.
Really?
Yeah, they banned this
Is
Mjolnir
that why
card.
the artifact deck is bad now?
No. So the thing with the artifact deck is that they play on this like really weird mechanic where you're allowed to set your artifact monsters as trap cards in your back row, and then like if your opponent destroys them, then they say, "Ha, you destroyed my artifact. I'm going to summon myself and do a thing." This wasn't even ever what Mjolnir was intended to do. It was supposed to be good for your artifact deck because you get to revive artifacts and have more guys.
Okay.
But then people are just using this to basically say, "Ha, fuck you, you're lost."
It's so
Magic,
stupid.
There's effects called like harmless offerings, I think is what it's called, where you like give your opponents a permanent.
That's why I'm a
and
Rush
you could
Duel player.
effectively do something like this, but there's no like there's realistically
I
never
do love
a good
Rush
enough
Duel.
payoff to do anything like that. Like,
Rush
it's just-
Duel
it's
is Yu-Gi-Oh! If it
Well,
was good.
in Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically, it's a thing specifically because the game ends in 3 turns anyway. So if you tell your opponent,
I need
you
them
can't
to
do
bring
anything
Rush
for
Duel
a
over
turn,
here,
you won.
man.
GG's.
There was a standard deck for
So
a little
bad.
bit that there was Harmless Offering and then Demonic Pact, which was a card that said at the beginning of each upkeep, you have to choose one effect, and there were 4 effects. You couldn't repeat your choice, and the last one that you chose was always you lose the game. So you had to try to win the game before that went off.
But the other 3 effects are good effects.
They have a Super Poly deck that's
Harmless
Sleepy Moth
Offering
Girls.
to your
Oh
opponent,
god,
and then that's
Rush
how
Duel's
you
so
would win.
good.
Oh, ew. No, that's disgusting. I hate that. What the fuck? Okay. Well, hey, you guys have gotten 3 out of 5 so far. I'm impressed.
Damn.
Me too. Holy cow.
They're doing all
So
right.
these are only going to get harder as we go. I'm letting you know this right now, which is insane because you guys got the first 2 wrong and the next 3 correct. This next one was one that was suggested to me by a Magic the Gathering viewer of mine that said they will find this interesting. I control Armored Bee, and my opponent controls Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss.
What the
Big
fuck
ass
is Armored
motherfucker.
Bee?
And then I have a face down card called Book of Moon, which is an older one. You've probably seen this one before. I control a face down Book of Moon, which is a quick play spell, meaning I can activate it at, I guess you guys call it instant speed. I can activate it like it's a trap card. In this situation, I use my Armored Bee effect, Chainlink 1, target my opponent's Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss in order to swap its stats. Chainlink 2, my opponent uses the first effect of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, which is you can target a face-up card your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of this turn. So he's targeting my Armored Bee to negate my Armored Bee.
Oh, we're gonna
As
flip down the
Chainlink 3,
bee?
I activate Book of Moon on my Armored Bee to flip my Armored Bee from face-up to face-down defense mode. what happens?
Yeah, it's no longer face up.
Dude, I have no idea what happens when you flip something face down. So the hot red dragon, I imagine, would counter the. It says it's supposed to counter the effect, and then
That's
the Book of Moon
super
would
cool,
try to be
Mayas.
face down, but that wouldn't do anything because the effect has already been countered.
So the Book of Moon will turn the B face down first, because remember, chains resolve backwards. So it's Chainlink 1B to swap the stats of Hot Red, Chain 2 Hot Red, targeting the Armored B to negate the effects of Armored B, Chainlink 3 Book of Moon on the Armored B to flip the Armored B face
I think I got
down.
it because the monster says face up creature, so it turns a face up thing. So Book of Moon will turn it face down, and then the dragon will go to try to negate the effect. Except that by the time that it's trying to resolve, the Armored B is face down, so it can't counter a face down effect. But the Armored B's effect is still in the stack, even though it's face down. And then the final thing that will resolve will be the B will swap the power and toughness, or do whatever
He's
the B's
so
supposed to do.
smart.
Power and toughness. I love these words, man.
Attack and defense. Power.
It's really funny because a lot of times when you play like a TCG, you can tell what someone's main game is by how they use like certain words. Like sometimes I'll be playing Yu-Gi-Oh at locals against someone, and I'll add a guy, and they'll go, "Can I read the creature you just added?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're a Magic player, aren't you?" You know? And my friend Gage, a lot of time, he'll play, and
He'd call some
my
minions.
minion, and I'm like, "Bro,
Yeah.
like, what are you doing?"
But yeah, I'm gonna lock. Yeah, what does Cam think?
I'm gonna agree with Dylan because I can't figure out red. I'm just looking at red hot, and my eyes are getting red hot because there's too many words, and I'm getting lost in the sauce here. So I think
Very good card, very good card, Hot Red. But the big thing, right? I know it's intimidating, the fucking like wall of text. The only effect that matters is that first line, quick effect. Target a face-up card your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of this turn. That's the only part of Hot Red that's important.
Okay. I'm standing by that. I think that the end result of this is that the B's effect would happen, and that the dragon. I don't know, what does that do though. What does that do that the dragon has 25 attack and 32 defense? I guess that like changes your blocking mass, so you can like more easily kill it or something.
Well, so in Yu-Gi-Oh you don't block. In Yu-Gi-Oh you compare stats based on battle position. So like let's say you have a guy.
I think it makes it slightly easier to walk over, but it doesn't really do all that much. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So technically, if you had something that has, but it's only its highest attack stat. It doesn't. Where does the defense come up? Only if they're
the defense only comes in if the monsters are in defense mode. Then you check their defense stats.
Does
so
fuck
you have a
all.
creature that has 2600 attack, and then you swap the power and toughness of this one to 2500 attack. Then when you attack it, you will kill it, and then it'll die.
That is how that would work. So that would be the appeal of the Armored B. Armored B card that has never seen any competitive play.
I was gonna
ever.
say-
It just happened to work perfectly fine for this.
I was gonna say this
Dog
effect
shit
seems
card.
bad. This card seems bad. but-
Yeah, no,
So are we
it's-
locking in that the Armored B will?
Could have
change
just booked the
stats
Hot
of
Red. Literally could have just booked the Hot Red.
I'm pretty sure, so I'm gonna lock that in.
You agree with that, Cam?
I fully agree. Fully support Dylan.
Well, dude, I am very happy. to
Critical
say
support.
That you are once again correct. That is absolutely insane.
Dude, he's
And
so
specifically
fucking smart.
The reason why is not even that the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss states that it has to target a face-up card. The reason why is because you simply cannot negate the effects of a card that's face down, because a face down card does not have effects. It's a face down card. I mean, bro, you guys are fucking cooking, bro. You guys are in the money right now. Holy moly. So this next one exists to fuck with your brain. Okay, I'm about to show you like 7 different cards. Keep in mind, you only need to read 2 of them. I have previously activated and resolved Marine Cess Coral Anemone. So all you need to know about Coral Anemone is that it says you can target a water
Okay.
monster with 1500
Interesting
electric attack from
start.
the grave, special summon it to your zone this card points to. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn.
Oh, is this going to be
except
you banish the monster from the
I am
graveyard?
locked into only summoning water monsters for the remainder of this
Oh,
turn. So I
no,
now
it's
control
this.
a monster called World Sea Dragon Zelantis.
Oh, the
World Sea Dragon
Zelantis
Zelantis
stuff.
During your main phase, you can banish or exile all monsters on the field, then special
The
summon as many
Zelantis
monsters as
Waterlock.
possible that were banished by this effect to their owner's fields in face-up attack or face-down defense position. So
Oh,
what this does is
no.
it basically blinks all the monsters away and brings them all right back.
Does that redo their? That reinstates their triggers if they have triggers when they enter, or is it?
If their triggers are what we call soft once per turn, then yes. And what we call soft once per turn is like cards that say once per turn you can do this thing, but it's once per turn.
It resolves as much as it can. Statements dreamed up by the utterly deranged.
So that's
Literally
the primary utility of this card. So this card basically blinks everything away and then brings it all back. So I'm currently locked into I can only summon water monsters, and now Zelantis is blinking away all the monsters on both players' fields and bringing them back to both players' fields.
I can't
their
believe
owners'
it's allowed to do
So,
this.
on the field, alongside the Zelantis, I control Penguin Soldier. You don't have to read the effect. Celtic Guardian.
It's a water.
I control the Blue Eyes White Dragon, classic monster.
Wow.
And then my opponent controls Dark Magician, classic Dark Magician. They control a Cyber Dragon. You don't need to read the effect. And they control a Legendary Fisherman. You also don't need to read their effects. So my opponent has these last 3 monsters. I control Zelantis, Penguin Soldier, Celtic Guardian, and Blue Eyes White Dragon. If I use the effect of Zelantis, which monsters are special summoned back to the field via the effect of Zelantis?
I got this.
All right, Cam, you go.
I think it's Penguin Soldier and the Legendary Fisherman, only because of their water attribute. That's the only reason why I thought, because isn't my Coral Anemone says that I can only special summons water monsters.
You can only special summon water monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, but the legendary fisherman and cyber dragon and dark magician are your opponent's monsters.
You're being tricked. You're being tricked.
So they all come back, but only your penguin.
No. And we're to assume that like your Celtic Guardian and your Blue Eyes White Dragon, they entered the field on your side.
Read Zealantis carefully. You gotta read Zealantis
Right?
carefully.
Like
Yeah. So you just control Blue Eyes, Celtic Guardian, Penguin Soldier, and Zealantis. All of that was
You're
legal.
being
We are
tricked.
only at the point where you can only summon water monsters and you use your Zealantis. You're banishing everything from both
Dude, I
your
gotta get
sides,
one of those
including the
custom
Mars and your
You're
giant
banishing everything,
cards
including the thing that
off
says
of
you're allowed to
Etsy or
play water
whatever.
spells. You're banishing that too.
So
What
you
would
no
I
longer-
get
in this
though?
situation, you don't control
Terratop.
Anemone anymore.
I would get.
All you control
Well,
is
no,
Zealantis,
Crystal
Penguin
Wing,
Soldier,
right? It would
Celtic Guardian,
obviously
Blue
be
Eyes.
Crystal
An enemy's
Wing.
effect is lingering. It applies for the remainder of the turn, even if it's no longer there.
Oh,
Yeah. So the restriction for water just applies for
Maybe
the whole
maybe
fucking-
It
both.
applies for the whole. Why does it do that? What makes her effect apply for the whole turn?
The
Even if she's
rulings
not there?
that
What do you
make
mean?
Melfi
That's just
bad,
what-
in my
that's just what the-
opinion.
Colon Emily specifically says to do a thing.
Otherwise, you
Also,
could trigger your
cannot
own
special
Melfi
monsters
via
the rest of this turn
kaijus.
except for
Oh
water monsters.
wow.
That's what we in Yu-Gi-Oh like to call a
That's
lingering
awesome.
effect.
This turn.
So it's once that is applied, it applies to the remainder of the turn, regardless what happens to this.
So,
turn.
but
We have a name for that in Magic, but I don't know what it is. But I'm thinking of the new Gwenum Remorseless Spider-Man card.
I
Has
love
an effect where-
Spider-Man.
Right. Well, as long as Gwenum has attacked, you can cast cards from the top.
I
of your
love
library.
Spider-Man.
She's left play. Her effect is
So
still ongoing
real.
for that turn. So like as long as you've met that requirement, you can still do that. So
yeah, we in
what
Yu-Gi-Oh would
makes-
call that a lingering effect. Yeah.
In 4 years from now, we're watching Arc V. The Speedroid duels are gonna be so hype. I'm gonna actually see them play Speedroid for the first time ever.
monsters and then only.
I was like, oh, it
yours
won't take 4 years,
when
and I
someone
remembered
else
that
came back
all
and
of them,
all of your opponents would come back. I think
like
this
the
effect sounds
DM and GX and 5Ds, are so long.
Penguin Soldier, and just this example comes back versus your opponent's board comes back in its
If she
entirety.
attacks, you basically
So
just
I'm
win the
gonna
game. That's
say that
crazy.
Only water monsters come back.
I have a question now too. Sorry, lots of questions on this one. Coral says you can't special summon anything else besides water monsters. It just says you can't special summon them. That's the only thing that it doesn't allow you to do. Whereas, but this one you are special summoning them. Yeah, so yeah, you can't.
Yeah, the Zealantis banishes them.
They
all,
got it.
And then special.
They think
summons
they
everything back to the
worked their way out of the
Yeah,
trap.
so I got to imagine that if the coral's effect lingers till the end of turn, even if she were to be banished and then re-enter, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you can't bring your non-water guys back. So only Penguin Soldier comes back. I'm gonna lock that in. I don't know.
What about the opponents?
Imagine the Gathering players. These Beyond decks are oversaturated the game with Corpo shit. Me, I love Spider-Man.
Also, keep in mind there's Atlantis.
That'll be me if they put
well.
Dark Magician in the game. If they put Dark Magician in Magic the Gathering, I'm gonna be like, I love Dark
feel like
Magician.
I'm asking a question that's gonna give the answer away, but like
that is the answer
that's
to the
the
question.
answer. Do you get to choose the order that you bet some of the things back in?
Oh, that gives the answer away because then what you can do is put all of your things in play, and then the last one that you put in play is the coral anemone, so that way you got all your stuff back, and your opponents could only get their water monsters.
Well, no, in this situation, Coral Anemone's gone. It's not on the board anymore or anything like that. Her effect is applied regardless of if she's on board or not. In this situation, you've used Coral Anemone. It has left the board. All you control is Zealantis, Penguin Soldier, Celtic Guardian, Blue Eyes, and your opponent controls Dark Magician, Cyber Dragon, Legendary Fisher.
But Coral,
there's no Coral Anemone.
Coral
on the
doesn't
board.
say anything
Are they
about
working
your
themselves
opponent
into
not
a
being
new
able to
trap
play
here?
Non-water things, and when you're exiling with the Zealantis, you're bringing it back under its owner's control, right? Cameron, go. What do you got?
No, I got this.
Run
World
it.
Sea Dragon Zealantis says you special summon them. Your opponent
Yes!
is not
Yes, you
special
got it!
summoning their cards back. So you cannot special summon their non-water monsters back.
You've got it.
Even though you're summoning it in their control, you're the one doing it, so you're not allowed to put their non-water ones back in play.
You've got it,
Yes,
you've got it.
You're smart. That's good.
Cam is a fucking brain genius.
That is exactly how that works. That is exactly how that works. That is so
Holy shit.
Because most people didn't think of this, and there's only this Marine Cess deck is like the deck that gets to utilize this. So Zealantis' design wasn't to do this, to like clear all your opponent's non-water
Yeah.
and not bring them back. Zealantis' design was to let you turn back on once per turn effects to use them again. But people in this Marine Cess deck found, well, if my cards
Or
are
to
locked
clear,
into the waters,
like,
I'm the
lingering
one
effects
summoning
and stuff like
everything
that.
back, so I don't bring back their shit. So you can clear their entire board.
Like
If they're not
attack
playing a
gain
water
and
deck,
stuff
they
like
lose
that.
everything. So yes, you are absolutely correct. In this situation, the only cards that come back are your Zealantis, your Penguin Soldier, and their Legendary Fisherman come back to the field. Dude, Cam fucking
That was great,
cooked
dude.
on this
Dude,
one.
that's because in Magic,
So
nothing like that
fucking
exists. Like,
good.
if nothing like that exists in Magic, where you cast somebody else's thing and it goes in play under their control. If you were to cast
Dude,
somebody
no,
else's
everyone
spell
was right.
somehow,
This is
you would gain control of it.
100%
So,
better
like, that's
than
interesting.
those
Yeah, that was good.
SIBO CGP
You guys are absolutely
video.
fucking
Or,
crushing it.
what
You
is
guys
his
got two
name?
wrong
I don't know.
And then got 5 straight correct. This is insane.
I think we're
This
getting
is
better.
crazy.
I think we're
The-
getting better at asking questions.
The easier ones were harder for them. They like, nah, the hard ones we can get into the technicalities of them. We understand that.
You guys are ready to play Yu-Gi-Oh, man. You guys are ready.
Sign me up.
Dylan, this one's for you. You asked me about the infinite loop question, so let me give you the infinite loop question. In this situation, I control
Here it is.
a Yu-Gi-Oh card by the name of
Pole position?
Pole Position.
Yeah!
Oldest fuck trap card.
Of course it was going to be pole position. It's distant coder.
I control a pole position. I control the field spell Luminous Spark, which says that all light monsters gain 500 attack. And I also control a card called Gemini Elf, not a light monster. And then my opponent wants to summon X-Head Cannon, which is a light monster with 1800 attack. So here's where the infinite loop portion comes in. Pole position says the face-up monster with the highest attack on the field is unaffected by the effects of spell cards. Meaning that whichever monster is on the field that has the most attack will be unaffected by Luminous Spark.
A very simple pole position loop.
Attack, and I have Luminous Spark up. If my opponent would normal summon the X-Head Cannon, the X-Head Cannon is not the monster with the highest attack, so it gained 500 attack via Luminous Spark's continuous effect.
I don't know how they're
It
going
has
to
the
get
most
this
attack.
one.
Therefore, it's no longer affected by Luminous Spark. It goes back down to 1800. But then, it's no longer the monster with the most attack, so it will gain 500, go back up to 24. But now it's the monster with the most attack, so it's unaffected by Luminous Spark. So it goes back down to 1800 in an infinite loop.
But not actually
So,
achieving anything.
I want to ask you, just straight up,
Yep, nope,
what
not
the fuck
achieving
happens
anything at
here?
all.
How do we solve it? Can he even normal summon the X-Head Cannon in the first place? Talk to me. What's your thoughts? Infinite loop question.
In Magic, something like this, you would force the game to a draw. Because what this to me does was it forces the game to keep on going forever and ever without there being a way for you to stop the loop. So like normally,
What is the
Magic,
ruling on this
there
one?
are
Which
things
card
that you
gets
can do
sent?
that will loop, but there's
I think-
you are doing it, so you can stop it whenever you want to.
So
Stop
it
but there
used
are
to
certain
be
loops
that you
that
could
technically
not
don't have a way of
summon the
stopping it.
monster.
Just
I
continue
think they
going
have
forever.
changed this
Unless
to
you
where
figure out
pole
how to, like,
position now
break the
gets sent to the
loop, it will go
graveyard,
forever and it forces
if
the
I'm
game to a
remembering
draw.
correctly.
There's a notorious combo that's not very good with Animate Dead and Ward Gorger Dragon that does something like this, where all it does is it basically just flickers itself in and out over and over again. And if you have a payoff that says like whenever something enters, deal damage. They
Yeah,
can
that is
table,
true,
but if there's
Ferret
no
Lord.
payoff, it
Nobody
just goes in
plays
and out
pole
forever
position
without
except
being
for
able
to
to
cause
stop.
problems.
So in
How do they say shoot the table? Because I assume what that means is you're killing.
But when pole position was originally like the pole position lock was originally discovered, it literally creates a situation where the opponent cannot summon because it'll create an infinite loop essentially.
All three other players.
Like that was like the idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're pinging them off one at a time.
Or something like that.
I agree that that's what's happening. But I think in Yu-Gi-Oh that you're not allowed to do a loop. I think I've been told that there is some sort of rule that says if you were to like if something were to like loop one, it only loops the one time and then it stops. So but I don't know if that the result of that means like does it force the game?
Yeah,
I don't
with
know if the result means,
Kaliga,
like, you're
yeah.
not allowed to do it as if like if you try it forces the game into a draw, or it just won't happen and the thing would just get like one buff to 500 higher and then it wouldn't be, or maybe it would buff up.
Purgatory.
And then buff
Yeah,
back
yeah,
down,
yeah. It goes
and then it wouldn't be
Purgatory
able to
against
finish
the
loop,
attack.
So just nothing would happen. I'm gonna say without talking to
The
Cam
mental
first,
gymnastics here is crazy.
I'm gonna say that's what happens. I think basically nothing happens. It buffs once up, it buffs once
Coach, we're
down.
gonna get into
and I
it?
think
Yeah,
there's
okay.
a secret rule in Yu-Gi-Oh that says you can't do loops, and then it stops going, and that's what happens.
I think it's the same because I have heard that same secret rule before. Where so if it does create triggers like that, I think that would be. It would be that. It would be.
Well, so a big thing that I'll clarify right now, none of these are effects that are triggering. They're all continuous effects. So once the X-Head Cannon is in play, these are just effects that happen.
I feel like in Magic, this would be more like a layers situation where it has to see like when something entered, and that depends on like how it's affected and if it's going to be affected by something.
In Magic, also the same thing can only be replaced one time. Like it can't. Like I know that like with a card like Notion Thief that says whenever your opponent draws a card, you draw that card instead. You can't like replace if there are two Notion Thieves, you can't like replace the same thing more than once or something. Is that anything?
So the person who's
Honestly, I like the layers solution.
replacement effect.
I think that's probably how it should have happened in the first place.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same as Dylan. But I think my reasoning is just a little bit different because of layers instead. But I think it is still just it gets the buff, loses the buff, gets the buff, and then whatever the magic number is, if you're allowed to do it 3 or 5 times, or if it's an even number, whatever it lands on, then for the last one is what it ends up being, buff or no buff. Is that vague enough to still give me the point?
No, I got. Well, I mean, so you're extremely wrong, but I know this much. So in Yu-Gi-Oh, we have two kinds of loops. We have controlled loops, controlled infinite loops, and non-controlled infinite loops. A controlled infinite loop is what you were describing.
For Genesis purposes, they did do a ruling on last turn to clear some things up, and then they did another ruling that like completely changes how we thought last turn works or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Is a thing that you are manually doing that you can just technically do infinitely. So in Yu-Gi-Oh, the way a manual controlled loop is handled, notoriously there's one deck called Six Samurai, which is really old, and what it does is that they have these cards that say when you summon a Six Samurai guy, you place a counter like a Bushido counter is what they call them. You place a Bushido counter on all of these different cards or whatever. And Six Samurai notoriously have an infinite loop combo that they can do, that every time they do one instance of the loop, they have one additional counter on each of their cards.
Yeah,
So
last
every
turn
time
is
they do it,
100
they're just
points in Genesis, if I
accruing
remember
counters
correctly.
effectively endless. The way a controlled loop is handled in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is you demonstrate once or twice that you can do this infinitely, and then you say, I do this 12 billion times. And then you proceed from the point after those 12 billion. You just assume it has been done 12 billion times, proceed from there. So now you have 12 billion counters on all your cards, whatever, and you go from there. However, with the uncontrolled loop, something like this, that it's like, if I place X-Head Cannon on board, now it's a thing that I can't physically choose to stop doing. It's two continuous effects that are going back and forth. Previously, it would have worked like you were saying before, where you're not allowed to create an uncontrolled infinite loop. You would not be allowed to summon the X-Head Cannon. One of the most viewed videos on my channel is a judge call that I took, I want to say something like 6 years ago at this point, where a guy built a deck that created an instance where he had pole position and like 5 or 6 other cards that interacted with each other that made it so if the opponent placed a card on the field,
place the card on the field at all,
in
yeah.
his pole position. So by the rules, your opponent was not allowed to place a card on the field. They
So
could not
stupid.
play a single
That's
card.
funny that it applies to your opponent.
After that video came up, no, go ahead. What's up?
It's funny that it applies to your opponent, that even though you set it up, your opponent's still not allowed to tip it off, even though
Because your opponent's play is the one creating the infinite loop. You haven't made a loop. You made a legal board, but the moment you play a card, you're making my loop.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay, yeah.
So
Shortly
stupid.
after that video went up, Konami changed the policy for how uncontrolled infinite loops function, and ultimately decided that if an infinite uncontrolled loop is created, that you are to call a judge will come over to your table, determine which card is most at fault for creating the infinite loop, and once they determine that one, they send that card to the grave and the game continues.
What? That's crazy.
They just say, kill this card. Continue playing.
I love that that's the
So it's
ruling.
like the judge is just like, I will be God here. I will poke the thing, get it out of the way, and then that's it.
Effectively, yes. Yes, the judge will literally go,
Hi,
this
Zuchi,
one
how you
card
doing?
here is the one creating the loop. We are going to shoot it.
That's so funny. Interesting.
I am amazed that is.
Yeah, that is kind of funny.
It's
too.
insane. It is kind of crazy.
But okay, that's good to know that in Yu-Gi-Oh! You are allowed to complete manual loops, and you can agree that I can do this billions of times. We all agree, and keep going. Because Magic is the same way. Specifically, how we play with CDH, like Commander, all of the games end like that. Every
What would
single
happen if
game
the
ends in
card
that
going to
type
the
of
grave
situation. I have
does a
this
different
loop, can I
infinite
draw
loop?
my
Yeah,
whole
I
deck?
heard that you guys in CDH have a ton of like infinite loops.
Everything is.
I don't know if there's a way to
basically
do
it's a
that.
Otherwise, the game's not gonna end. We're gonna be playing for fucking ever. Oh
Dude,
my
I gotta learn
God.
CDH one of these days, man. I've had so many friends tell me that.
He's
It is
building a
the
deck.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Of Magic the Gathering, that is for sure.
I think he
said
built a
that I had
Mr.
9
House
questions,
deck, if
but
I
you
remember
brought up the
correctly.
If versus when. I'm going to ask you an if versus when question, Yu-Gi-Oh! Style. So,
Ooh, okay.
off the cuff, off the record, I hadn't written this one down, but I'm gonna give you the classic Yu-Gi-Oh! I present to you the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card, Dupe Frog. So Dupe Frog, the only text on Dupe Frog that matters is when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add a frog monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except Dupe Frog. Take
I'm so sorry. The first text is this card's name becomes Des Frog. That's the first thing that this card does, is that it changes its own name. I don't know why that's so funny.
Never been relevant ever. And then the other card is Soul
That's
Taker.
awesome.
Soul Taker card says, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy that target, then your opponent gains 1.
Oh man.
In this situation, if you guys
Soul
control Dupe Frog,
Taker.
Soul Taker target your Dupe Frog.
Dude, Soul Taker is like the worst feeling one of these. Like, at least when it comes to like your sacred summoning with Dupe Frog, like sure you did that to yourself. Soul Taker feels so bad.
What happens?
Okay, so when it's on the field, your opponent, it looks like to me your opponents can only attack
No
it.
dead
They can't
naming.
attack
Oh.
other stuff, and then when it's sent to the graveyard, you get a frog from your deck or your graveyard to hand. That's potentially powerful. And then Soul Taker says, target face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy the target, then your opponent gains 1,000 life. Okay, so what's the question?
The question is what happens. Yep.
Well, like, if,
Yeah,
if,
it's always
so if
it's
I
always
have a
pole
frog and
position
my
is the
opponent
problem
uses Soul
in
Taker
that
on my
situation.
frog,
You have Dupe Frog. You have Dupe Frog. I Soul Taker your Dupe Frog. What happens?
is the question like, are you still?
The question is what happens.
When this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, what happens?
What happens
all right,
after
Cam,
this?
do you know or should I ramble?
All right, so in Magic, what would happen? Because when
Do you think Soul Taker was designed to make me things miss the timing? I'm not sure.
When Soul Taker
'Cause, like,
destroys,
They did design Yang Zing to be an archetype that misses the timing, but I don't know. One of my favorite decks misses the timing so often. Is it Black Rose? Because I Black Rose Dragon misses the timing, and that drove me fucking insane trying to make Rose Dragon.
Dupe Frog, it would send it to the graveyard.
Super
and that would
Quant.
put a trigger on the stack that would allow you to go and tutor up another frog, except Dupe Frog at that point. That's
There's
how
no
it
way
would
they
work
get
in
this
Magic.
one. There's just no. I don't think there's any way they get
However,
missing the timing if they don't already know it.
Saying that Yu-Gi-Oh players hate the word when. So part of me wants to say that you're not going to get a frog because of the way that when works.
Why wouldn't you get the frog?
Because
Is this connected to the first line of text that says it's you only get the frog if it dies in like combat or something? Is that maybe what it is?
No, you get the frog regardless of how it hits.
As long as it hits the graveyard, yeah. So then if Soul Taker hits it, you get a trigger, you go get the frog in your hand, and then you gain, or I guess you'd probably gain the 1,000 life first, and then you'd go get a frog?
I think that this is going to sound really fucking out there, but hear me out.
Oh, boy.
Think that because Soul Taker says, then you gain 1,000 life points, there is no instance for when to sneak in.
He did it!
So Soul Taker effectively counts.
Wait,
what
he's
happened
doing it!
Because then.
What the fuck? How did he do that?
You think that then replaces the when? Because that's stupid. If that's how it works, that I would fucking hate when too, because then is so much better than when.
Then beats when. Then beats when.
How the
then beats when is not a saying that Yu-Gi-Oh players say. Then I would like to coin that and give you.
How the fuck did he intuit that?
That's a great shirt.
He's fucking Sherlock Holmes.
Yu-Gi-Oh players say, but it's something they damn well should, because that is exactly how that
kidding
works.
me. How did you know that?
Fuck?
Then beats when.
Then beats when.
You heard it here first. Then beats when.
He pre-watched he pre-watched the video he's in.
That's
That's
the word when is because this is what we refer to as missing the timing. A card that says when something happens, do this. You can only do it if the thing that happened was the last thing to happen. So because Soul Taker says
it loses the
kill
opportunity to
then they
activate.
gain 1,000. The last thing to happen wasn't the dupe frog hitting the grave. It was your opponent gaining 1,000 life. So it's no longer when this card is sent to the graveyard. It is now when your opponent has gained 1,000 life points.
So
meaning that dupe frog misses the timing. If dupe frog said, if this card is sent to the graveyard, add a frog from deck to hand, it would add even under the Soul Taker situation here, because it just cares, did my trigger thing happen? Whereas when cares, did my trigger thing just happen?
That makes so now that the Soul Taker, it seems like the 1,000 life that you give to your opponent is like a negative on the caster's side, because like you're giving them something for killing their thing, but realistically it feels like it's only a positive, because it stops all of the like what we call like their dice triggers from happening.
Well, so Yu-Gi-Oh cards in general are no longer printed with the word
Yeah.
when on it. This is typically the kind of thing you see on.
Well,
older
also
Yu-Gi-Oh
one-for-one
cards.
removal
There's a
isn't
couple
played
of random
anymore, so
ones that do, but more often than not, old
At least not
Yu-Gi-Oh
that
cards are
kind
the
of
ones that say
one-for-one
when, newer
removal.
cards all say if.
I understand why they're moving away from when.
Well, so a big thing for Yu-Gi-Oh is that we like to talk about this thing called PSCT, problem-solving card text. And in PSCT, there are 5 conjunctions that exist that basically tell you how you connect effects that have multiple effects in them, like Soul Taker. So let's say, for example, Soul Taker says, destroy that target, then gain 1,000, then beats when, as we've coined now. It is now an official term, then beats when. If it, instead of saying then, it would say also. Destroy that target. Also, your opponent gains 1,000 because it's also their simultaneous dupe frog with trigger.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
He just did 6/7, by the way.
They're called the conjunctions. It's a sequential conjunction, whereas also is a simultaneous conjunction. Now, the one that makes no fucking sense, and if you do, if Soul Taker says destroy that target, and if you do, your opponent gains 1,000, is considered simultaneous, despite the fact that that doesn't make any sense in English.
Yeah.
Okay. It's so funny though, because in Magic it is very similar to like the wording makes the text completely different, where the punctuation is makes the text completely different.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's the same
card
shit in
games,
Magic,
baby.
It's just what means what is a little bit different. Because in Magic, if something like triggers, it's on the stack. It's kind of gonna happen unless another thing says like counter that trigger. But you can't like replace the trigger with a different trigger. You know what I mean? That doesn't really exist in Magic. That's so interesting.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you would in Magic you would gain 1,000.
I love
life
how
points,
interested they
and
are
then-
in
then
Yu-Gi-Oh
you would still always
rulings.
resolve the frog trigger.
Yeah. Whereas specifically the when word on dupe frog, people don't like that when
Yeah,
word.
no, I get it.
That when word is not
I get
good.
it. Yeah, I get it now.
All right, well, bro, you guys have fucking crushed it. You missed 3 questions only. I got a bullshit question for you guys. Completely bullshit question to end it off. I decided, fuck it.
Oh, boy.
I'll throw them a question that even the average Yu-Gi-Oh player would get wrong. So don't feel bad if you get this one wrong. I control Amazoness Swordswoman. And my Amazoness Swordswoman is
Yeah.
with double
In
edged
most card
sword.
games
I don't know
it
if
is.
you guys have like equipment
What?
cards or whatever in Magic. Are they called
Card
artifacts? Is
games
that what you
too.
call them or something like that?
It's a subtype of artifacts. They're artifact
yeah.
equipment.
So it's a card. Double-edged sword is a card that you equip to the Amazoness Swordswoman. So now its effect is applying to the Amazoness Swordswoman, and it attacks your opponent's Quintet Magician. You do not need to read the text on Quintet Magician.
It's just a
You only have to look at its
45,000
stats.
guy or 4,500
Why is
guy.
it so big?
So it attacks into the opponent's Quintet
'Cause it's 5
Magician
guys.
while your opponent controls a face-up Magician's Defense.
What
I
the
need you
fuck
to
is
tell
this?
me who is taking damage and how much damage they are taking. I'll just explain the way damage works in Yu-Gi-Oh in general.
Okay. I gotta read these cards. What is that sword card? Amazon is first up. Let me just check, make sure Amazon is Swordswoman. Swa. Takes any battle damage you would have taken from battle involving this card instead. True? Real? Why would you equip this with a sword? Who knows? What is the name of that sword? Sword makes you both take all the battle damage. Oh. And then the magician's defense? Those type of magicians. How many cards could there be? Nope. Apparently it's not one of those. It was like defense, right? Defense. Okay. Let's try magician defense. Gives it 2k. Oh, the Makanko card. If we check magicians, it didn't get us anything. Oh wait, let's try magicians. No. What? Huh? What? Oh my god, out of 192 cards. Okay, let me just...
Taking damage.
Magician's defense. While you control a spellcaster monster, any damage you take is halved. You cannot have the save damage twice this way. This card is sent to the field from the field to the graveyard. You could target a spellcaster monster in your graveyard, special summon, it doesn't matter. It's just the part, any damage you take is halved.
So big.
So it attacks.
We need to see the sword real quick. I need to see the wording on the sword. Also, both players take any battle damage for attacks involving the equipped monster. I typed it both ways. It just Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro deck can't handle the comma, the apostrophe. I mean. Okay, so we've got the opponent takes the battle damage. Both players take battle damage, and also battle damage is halved.
Yeah. So it's a card double swords woman, and it attacks
Weird.
your opponent's Quintet Magician. You do not need
I
to read
genuinely
the text
have
of Quintet
no
Magician,
clue.
You only have to look at its stats.
It's huge. Why is it so big?
Like, okay, in Makanko, yeah, thinking about Makanko actually like got me thinking. So they take the battle damage, and then they take the battle damage that you're taking from the sword because of the ability of Swordswoman. That's the battle damage you would be taking. So they're taking the battle damage twice, but they're having it both times.
So it attacks
That's my
Quintet
thought.
Magician while your opponent controls a face-up Magician's Defense. I need you to tell me who is taking damage and how much damage they are taking. I'll just explain the way damage works in Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. If two attack position monsters battle against...
Yeah, how much is her? She's like a 1,500, right? $1,500, yeah. So it's 1,000, I think.
each other. The one with
You're
the
taking.
lowest attack is
They're
destroyed
taking
that
the
battle,
1,000, and they're taking your
difference between
1,000,
their
but they're
attack
having
stats
both of
is
them to
inflicted as
500.
damage on the person who has the lowest attack monster. So if my 500 attack
So
guy
1,000
battles
total.
your 1,500 attack guy, I'll take 1,000 damage.
Well, okay, so what will happen here is my opponent's 4,500 Quintet Magician would normally trample over my Amazoness Swordswoman for nearly 3,000 damage.
Well, you also got to read Double-Edged Sword. Double-Edged Sword is buffing the Amazoness Swordswoman by 2,000.
Right, so she's bigger, and all the trample damage is going to go to my opponent instead. But also, both players take any battle damage from attacks involving the equipped monster. So there's two instances, essentially, of Amazoness Swordswoman's effect that happen from the card itself and Double-Edged Sword.
I'm gonna read over the effects specifically because I can guarantee you the YouTube viewers also won't know what these cards do. So Amazoness
Yeah.
Swordswoman says that your opponent takes.
I know
any
Amazoness
damage
Swordswoman
you
from
would have
Duel
taken
Links.
from battles involving this card. Double-Edged Sword is buffing the Amazoness Swordswoman, so
I just needed to read
3,500
its
attack.
exact wording.
Double-Edged Sword also says both players take damage from battles involving the equipped monster. So in this situation, the Amazoness Swordswoman is attacking your opponent's Quintet Magician. There's a differential of 1,000 attack here because Swordswoman's on 35, Quintet's on 45. Double-Edged Sword says you're both taking the damage. Amazoness Swordswoman says, well, my opponent's taking the damage that I'm taking. And then Magician's Defense says that while you control a spellcaster, which Quintet Magician is, any battle damage you take is halved. So in this situation, who is taking?
Yeah, I think I'm
how
right.
much
I think I've got it right.
Magician controller has the Magician's Defense, right? And we have the other two cards. So there's 1,000 damage. So initially we should take 1,000 damage because we are at 35 and they're at 45. But they're gonna take all of that damage, so they take 2,000. But that 2,000 is halved, so they just take 1,000 and we take none. Face value, that's what it looks like. But Cam is snickering. As
I
if he
think
has
that's
a different
exactly
idea.
right.
Bro's like, I'm locked in.
Yeah, okay. So there's that initial 1,000. Yeah, there's the initial 1,000. That's a difference. That's supposed to go to us, but it goes to our opponent. But that's halved to 500. No, wait, no, it's. But all the damage is going to happen at the same time, though, right?
Yeah, all the damage would be applied all at
So
the
the
same
first amount of damage that they take is halved as well. So we take 1,000 and they take 1,000, except that damage is halved. So they take 500 and we take 1,000, except the 1,000 that we take goes to them. So they take another 1,000, except that 1,000 is halved as well. So they take 1,000.
I think that's right.
I think I got to the math a different way, but isn't that what I said the first
Like,
time?
I'm pretty sure
they take
that's
1,000 damage. I think that was my same main result.
That is what you said the first time.
But I don't know if it's
I'll give you just one thing that I'll say. This is the type of shit that if this happened at a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, both players would look at each other, go, I don't know what the fuck this does.
Let's get a judge.
They would go, judge, solve this for us.
And then throw away the problem cards because that gets destroyed.
All these cards get destroyed. Keep going. Every time you call a judge, all the cards in question are destroyed. Now keep going. That's how I would judge Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments. Destroy these cards. I'm gonna lock in. I think that your opponent's taking 1,000.
Fuck, that should be how it works. Every time you call a judge, all monsters are destroyed.
1,500 damage.
Why would they take 1,500? What's your logic there?
My logic is they're taking half of 3,000 because they're taking battle damage that gets stomped over from.
Judge, please
general
just destroy my opponent's
going
monsters.
into your Amazoness swordswoman, and then they're also taking their own double-edged sword damage as well as your double-edged sword damage, which is another 1,000 each. Which means that there's a total 3,000 damage.
I see what
half
you're
of
doing.
that is 1,500. That's how I came up with that number.
I see what you're saying. You're saying that the order of operations here is you tally up the total, apply it to whoever is going to be applied, and then after all that, you have whatever the total is going to be here.
Yes.
Well, I'll say that here, Dylan is the one that is closest to the correct answer.
take it.
Because you're correct that they will take 1,000, which already I'm shocked about.
Okay.
I want to ask you a follow-up question here. Do you think they are taking one instance of 1,000 damage, or are they taking 2 instances of 500
It's
damage
2, right?
that is applied separately?
I think it's the 2 instances of 500 damage. I think in the initial thing, they're 45, we're 35. We're supposed to take 1,000, but that would mean that they also take 1,000, but they get half of that. So they take 500, and then the 1,000 that we're supposed to be dealt, we deal to them, but they take half of that again, so they take another 500 to take 1,000. I think it's like that.
You're correct. That's insane. That's
Yeah.
crazy, bro.
All right.
So this feels like layers to me.
This
feels
is
like
similar to layers. Yeah.
It's something that no Magic player could tell you how it works or what they are, and even judges can be confused by them sometimes. So there's a list of things that you have to apply in order. Yeah, this feels just like layers.
We just know that it's a thing, yeah.
It feels sometimes like, I think this in Magic sometimes, that like they just wrote it differently because they just like wrote it differently, and then
The only reason I realized it was going to be 2 instances instead of 1 is because, and welcome Raiders, is because of Master Duel. When you do this kind of shit in Master Duel, it goes like, pah, pah, it does 2 hits separately. So that's the only reason I had that instead of just combining it into 1 hit. Welcome Raiders, hello, how you doing? We're doing all right here. We were just at the end of Can Magic Players Understand Yu-Gi-Oh rulings? Really good video, definitely check it out.
Have to go. Actually, wait, no, that's different things. That's different things. Like,
Hope you had a good stream.
You tried to write it the same, and you just choose a different word.
How you doing? How you doing, Hero Girls?
That's my tinfoil hat theory.
Oh man.
Dude, so you guys got 3 wrong total.
I think we asked good questions.
You got 3 wrong in total. That's insane.
They did
expected you guys
10.
to get like a bunch of these wrong.
7 of 10,
It's
not
absolutely
bad.
insane. Dude, this was a blast. I really enjoyed this.
A card game they've never played.
Dude, that was great, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, thank you guys for coming onto the channel and for taking this very silly quiz that was thrown together, and I was like, yeah, let's try to fuck with some Magic the Gathering players and all that stuff. But hey, where can the people find you guys? Because you've been a blast to work with.
Appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for having us. This was great, tons of fun. You can find us Play to Win MTG on the internet. YouTube mainly is where we are. We have
I might have to.
gameplay where
These
we
guys
play
are
Magic
awesome.
Gathering 4-player. It's a lot like Yu-Gi-Oh. It's a lot of combo, and it's realistically probably not like Yu-Gi-Oh, but it is very fast, explosive card game. So yeah, thanks for having us. It was a blast.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you guys want to see more of this, if you guys want to see these 2 guys back, or a different Magic creator, or hey, if you have any suggestions for interesting questions I can ask Magic creators in the future, leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to
Absolute
subscribe.
Galaxy
Play to Win MTG did
Brain
an
Magic the Gathering
absolute
players.
pleasure.
Yeah,
So
no,
thank you guys for coming on. And I will see
insane.
all of you in the next video. Have a good one, guys.
I'm fucking shocked that they were able to get so many. Especially the fact that they were all getting those later ones too. Like, just wow, incredible, insane shit. Well, don't forget, folks, to subscribe to the Batchu's library because there should be a new video up about the new Yugi Chaos Rituals. I have a lot of things to say about them, and then I have another thing to say about them after I say a lot of things about them. So it's a 45-minute video for you. editor worked extremely hard on it. Please take a look. Give it a like, share, subscribe. It's a good one. It's a good one. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me. I think we're going to call it here. Oh, my Twitch chat crashed in OBS at some point. That's fun. Yeah, I won't let the editor out of the kennel until we hit 1,000. Mello's going to be stuck there forever. We gotta get at least 1,000. Oh boy. I'm gonna send you over somewhere else. Before we do that, !socials in chat. It'll get you to my website where you can find everywhere that I'm at, including Batchu's library. It's on there. It's on the website. You can just go there directly from that link. Or not directly, but that link will get you to a hub that gets you all the links. All right, who am I sending it to? Let's find out. Let's find out. Let's see. You got some choices here. I'll send you to Rika. What's Rika doing? Just chatting. Dino Crisis eventually. Okay. We've got a Dino Crisis enjoyer. Dino Crisis is like what if Resident Evil but dinosaur. And that is also what GMX is like. So it's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? All right. When you get over there, be kind and courteous is all I ask of you. With that said, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and have a wonderful rest of your day, night. Bye.